Jay Crawford, Adam the Bull, Garrett Bush, Tyvis Powell, Jason Lloyd. Plus, ba-da-da-da-da, you're loving him, Mikey McNuggets. And so many big names, it would take me hours to say all of their names. The ultimate Cleveland sports show starts now. Booyah!
And welcome into a Tuesday edition of the ultimate Cleveland sports show. Jason Lloyd with the slow clap. Tyvis Powell.
Yeah, can back me up on the. Let's go!
No, because
let's go!
It's not a right
Let's
now.
go!
Right now, the way training camp will be the only reason that you'd be doing that, but the Guardians and it's not.
You could tell Jason did the morning show and has had 3 cups of coffee already. Like that was the most.
Why not to say? Because it'd be times in here where he.
I mean, this is 5 and 6. I've already had. It's like 2 cups. I've had 2 of those. This is number 3.
I can't believe y'all really think that does something for you.
I love the taste. I just love coffee in the morning. I love coffee.
You like the taste of coffee?
Oh, I love it. I'm addicted to it.
Black coffee? You do put milk and sugar?
Cream. Just no sugar.
Are you okay?
I love a good cup of coffee in the morning. I love it.
Do you drink coffee?
No.
I don't drink coffee. I think it tastes like
I
absolute.
had coffee.
You guys are really missing out on iced coffee.
No.
I can't drink iced. It can't be iced.
Do you put
It's
milk
gotta
and
be
sugar in it though, Ant? Or are you straight black coffee on ice?
No, I only drink it with sugar and cream, and then it's got to be iced. I don't like hot coffee at all.
I don't like
there
the
is
taste.
nothing
Don't
better.
I don't like the taste of
Oh.
coffee ice cream. I
There
don't
is
like.
nothing better than a hot cup of coffee. Nothing. It's
If I had a dollar,
I could think of some things.
if I had a dollar for every time someone said, "Oh, try this coffee, you'll like it," and I took a sip and was like, "This tastes like absolute dog crap,"
Yeah.
I'd have like
I mean,
Tyvis Powell NFL money.
Blueberry Dunkin' will change your life. Blueberry
I
hot
don't want
coffee.
blueberry. Like
Blueberry hot coffee from Dunkin' will change your life.
So you don't drink it black, you drink it blueberry.
Well, and with cream. I just don't have. I hate sugar. I won't put sugar in it. Hey, can you see my shirt real quick? My wife made this for me for my birthday.
ADHD.
ADHD.
You know that's a really good Kendrick Lamar song.
Highway to hey, look, a squirrel. So she's
Can I order one of those for myself?
Yeah, like she's super creative and makes like these shirts. Like I wear that Ready Fire Aim. She made that one. She can make a bunch of different T-shirts. She does them all the
That's a
time.
good shirt. I like that.
This is really cool, isn't it?
I like that one.
So I had a birthday last week, and that's what she made me that, and I cracked up. I said I'm wearing that on the show.
49.
Shout out to
right?
Alessia. 48.
Excuse me.
Don't be adding no ears. Don't be adding them. Somebody said happy birthday to me, and I'm like, you know what? When you get to be this age, ain't nothing happy about him anymore. It's just another year.
Tyvis, over the weekend you participated in the Cardell Classic softball game. We've been the last 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
And
Bad
the video
luck.
footage had not come out great, so we decided to give Tyvis an uninterrupted, no pressure, no microphone situation.
He can't
how'd
handle
you
the
play
pressure
this year? Yeah.
being on TV.
Yeah, that's what it is. No, this year was my best year. I went 2 for 3 at the plate, hit a double, hit a single. We scored 15 runs, but we lost to the current guys. They scored 16 runs. Really came down. Actually, it was a very interesting game this year. Last year's
game sucked.
nobody could hit for nothing.
Yeah.
This year, everybody was hitting so good that they implemented the rule that if you hit 2 home runs in the inning, anything after that is considered an out. So actually, the game started to go by smoothly. Got down to the
What changed? Because last year you only got one at bat.
we
didn't
it
even
was
make
only
it through the whole lineup.
it was
twice.
10 people per team.
So you
9 or 10 people.
Trim the fat a little
Yeah,
bit. Okay.
so we cut the things down because we wanted to get more people through.
And you still made the cut.
And they went and got their best hitters. So like Cardell went to Mecca and said, "Give me your team. Go pick your team and just give me the lineup." And he picked. Listen, you thought Mecca was good last year? Lincoln King Holtz.
Well, he was like
Listen,
an all-state baseball player,
That
wasn't he?
dude, he go play for the Guardians today. I am not lying. That dude is unbelievable. Every time he went to the plate, boom, home run. He made this play at shortstop look like Jimenez. Boy, he went up there, Wham! Gunned him at first down. I mean, at the first. I was like, dude.
Wasn't he All-State in baseball?
Yeah, he was like the National Gatorade Player of the Year in all sport. Lincoln King. He's a third-string quarterback at Ohio State right now.
From like North or South?
He was the guy that came in the Cotton Bowl after Devin went down. And it was just a disaster.
Yeah.
That kid.
I didn't even watch that game.
They said there's nothing he can't do. Basketball, football, baseball, he do it all. So he was unbelievable. But we got to the top of the 7. We were down. I think we might have either been tied or we were down 1 going into the top of the 7. They was hitting at the top. They ended up scoring 3 runs, so it was 4. We was down 4. Game plan was we're going to put our best hitters up. The first hitter, get on base. Second hitter, knock it out. Third batter, get on base. Fourth batter, knock it out. Put it perfectly.
Were you in the lineup?
I was on the radio.
Okay.
I was at this point of the lineup. I had just hit prior to.
Okay.
So I was on the radio just watching this whole thing unfold. And first one come out, gets on base. Second one comes out, home run. This is where the problem occurs. The third guy hits a home run.
So now you can't hit anymore.
So now we can't hit home runs. So we're already upset about that, but no biggie. Get a base hit. Got somebody to come in and pinch run for that guy. The next guy comes in, gets another base hit. So we got a guy on third and a guy on second. So the tying run is on third, the winning run is on second. Next guy comes up, hits a ground ball, and he takes off to first. The guy on third didn't let them throw it to first. He just took off his own contact. So they got him in the rundown at the plate, got him out. So now we got a guy on second and a guy on first. Next guy comes up, 2 outs, grounds out, game's over.
That happened to the Guardians a couple weeks ago.
I sat there and I was like 2 errors. 1, you shouldn't have hit that home run. 2, you got to wait till he at least throw it to first.
If you hit a home run and your teammates are mad at you, like that's.
I wasn't mad at him.
No, but I'm just saying.
But I'm like
in theory, it limits what you can do. Offensively. That's a bummer. How'd you went 2 for 3? You said
2 for 3, hit a double, hit a single.
Tell us about that double.
So the double. The double was like this. The first time at the plate, for the last couple of years, I've been mic'd up. Mike's had the cameras on me, so I'm like, I got to give a show. I got to go out there and I got to crush this ball. Well, when the cameras ain't on this time, you change your mindset. It's like, you know what? I'm going to just focus on getting on base this year. I'm going to humble myself. You got to learn from your past mistakes. So I said, I'm going to just make contact. Just a smooth swing. Well, that smooth swing, when I hit it, that ball took off. And I was like, I stood there and I watched it because I'm like, oh, yeah, that's a home run. And then at the last minute, it dropped down and then bounced over the fence, so I got the ground rule double. So, yeah, I didn't get the home run. But, I did my thing. Oh, made a play in the field. See, I was DH in the first couple of innings.
Interesting.
And, yeah.
Was that because of what happened last year?
No, that's because I told him I didn't want to do it. But
because of what happened last year.
Whatever. However you want to slice it. But I got another opportunity. We got to the top of the 7.
Top 7.
Hit the ball right to me. And I thought, the funny thing is, in the moment, it's amazing what your mind do in the moment of things. That ball went in the air, and I immediately thought about last year. I said, I'm not going to overrun it this time. So I took my time, waited for it to come down. Then I accelerated. Boom, made a routine fly out, man. Looked like the man.
You know what's interesting about that, though? So balls hit you, first thing you do is you think about the last time you messed up. Did that ever happen in football? Did you, when balls come your way, did you think about last time?
Yes, I did.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
If it was like, if I messed up on a play, like if I overran it or if he cut back or if I missed a tackle, the first thing that come to my mind is, all right, I messed this up the last time. I can't do it again. So I got to slow myself down and make sure I get this thing right. Yes, that's happened to me multiple times.
That's because, you could probably relate. I remember talking to Deion Waiters when Deion was here, and I said, he could miss 8-9 shots in a row, and that next one's going up. And I said, do you ever pause? He's like, nope. Next one's going in.
I get it for a shooter.
Don't care. I don't care about the last 15. This next one's going in.
If I missed a couple in a row, I was like,
oh, really?
Because you don't want to mess the whole thing.
No, but I came off the bench, so it's like I came in to shoot, and if all you do is shoot and you're not making a shot, it's like, well, it's like Sam Merrill. If he ain't making a shot, we really got nothing else out there that we're contributing. So
Deion was also
an issue.
Deion was a special breed, man. That dude could miss 22 in a row. I respect It's going right back up because he thinks this one's going
I wish I had that. I wish I did. So we got a big show. We're going to talk some Browns, some Guardians, some Cavs today. We have Charlie Hughlett, the longest tenured Brown. who's going to join us at noon and then report to training camp, which is a pretty cool situation. We got Mandy Bell coming on at 12:30 to talk some Guardians. But we're going to start with those Browns after a quick word from Anthony. And before Anthony does the read, a thank you to everyone who tuned into the Ultimate Cavs and Ultimate Guardian shows yesterday. We were off on Monday, technically because we worked on Martin Luther King Day following the Browns playoff game. Tagna said you have to take a day off at some point, so we chose Monday as the one day we would take off in repayment for, I guess, working on Martin Luther King Day. So thank you guys for bearing with us, and we are back. Normal schedule for the rest of the year. So that was a one-off, and we'll see you guys next Monday. And let's get into it.
Hey, guys, the only thing I love more than sports is a 3-day weekend, but I love them. I love sports so much, I never want them to stop. But now that we're in the middle of summer, we get fewer games, and the sports just aren't sporting like I want them to. But FanDuel lets me keep the sports going whenever I want. All I have to do is open the app and dream up bets anytime I'm in the mood. And this summer, FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a boost or bonus daily. And that's right, there's something for everyone every day, all summer long. So all you guys have to do is head over to FanDuel.com/UCSS and start making the most of your summer. FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of Major League Baseball.
And Darren sent us a winning ticket, but we can't figure out how to get in the system. But Darren, we see you, we appreciate you, and thank you for sending those tickets. And if you have a winning ticket, make sure you guys send it as well. Deshaun Watson and the rookies reported to training camp yesterday for the Browns. Today, it's the veterans who report to Berea to officially kick off the 2024 campaign. Later this week, they head to the Greenbrier in West Virginia for the second straight year for 9 days and 7 practices. And we got a couple storylines that we're going to monitor throughout the next couple of weeks as training camp unfolds. But before we do that, I want to ask Tyvis, do you have any great first day of training camp stories from your playing time, whether it's reporting day or whenever the training camp really gets underway? Do you got anything you can share to give us a little insight on exactly what's happening today for the veterans who are reporting?
Today is the day that everybody probably flew back into town yesterday. Today, you report to the building. You know, you gotta give up your keys. They got buses for if you're staying at the hotel, because everybody is mandatory to stay in the hotel for the rest of the time. Some people keep their keys and they drive back and forth. But yeah, you kind of we call it going to jail. That's what it kind of is. You're on lockdown. It's over with. You're going to spend probably 12 to 13 hours at the facility every single day. And yeah, that's how you report to training camp.
Physicals, drug tests.
All of that. You got to do physicals when you get there. The drug test comes they have them scheduled. Obviously, it's in the first 2 weeks, so everybody's scheduled differently. But in those 2 weeks, you'll be getting drug tested. That's just a whole bunch of medical stuff today.
The new weight room in Berea is open. Deshaun posted it on his Instagram. Looks immaculate, and I know that was something the Browns got dinged for on the NFLPA report cards last season. They clearly took that to heart and upgraded it. And Tyvis, real quick, as a player, if you were coming in and you've been working out in an older weight room, and you walk into the facilities and see this one, what's the first thing running through your mind?
It's about time. I mean, listen, I had an opportunity to work out at the old facility, when I was there for my cup of tea, and it was small, it was compact. It was it felt like he was in a garage or something like that. It just wasn't big. And when I seen Deshaun post yesterday of the new one, I was like, now that's what I'm talking about. Like, you could get more energy in there. It looks better. I'm more eager to work out. I want to do these things. So it's nice that they finally got that right. And I'm expecting to see guys really have a good performance from that wonderful facility that they have now.
Jason, you're heading to the Greenbrier later this week to join the Browns for a few days of training camp. What's one storyline you're most looking forward to kind of following throughout the next couple of days here?
The offense. Just what's the offense look like? I fully expect Ken Dorsey to be the play caller. I think Kevin will announce that probably at some point here. And just how much different does it look compared to what we saw last year? I tend to think it's going to look drastically different. I think it's going to be what Deshaun wants. Deshaun in the gun, Deshaun freelancing, Deshaun just balling. And I'm curious to see just how different it looks and if I'm right.
Some other things we will follow. The Amari Cooper contract situation. Yeah. Will he hold out? Will he hold in? We'll find out the answer to that by whatever is there a deadline to check into training camp, Travis? I'm sure they have something set where you have to check in by.
Yeah,
right?
I can't remember off the top of my head. Probably 4 p.m. I don't know.
So we'll see if Amari Cooper shows up. He wants a new contract. We'll see which players land on the PUP list. There's 2 different versions of that, the active and the reserve PUP list. If you start on the active list, which Nick Chubb's expected to, you can be activated at any point during training camp, then participate in team drills. If you're on the reserve list, you can't play in the first 4 games of the season. So we'll find out where Chubb lands, where Conklin lands, where Jed Wills land. If those guys aren't active, we'll see the new offense. We'll see some of the rookies. But I want to ask you guys this, as someone who has only lived in Cleveland for a couple of years now. You guys been here longer, have followed the team much longer than I have. When veterans report to training camp, it is the unofficial, official kickoff of the season.
Mm-hmm.
Does the start of this training camp in the 2024 season, is this the most anticipated season of the Browns' modern era, 99 on? Do you get that sense?
I don't.
I don't either.
I don't know if it. Well, hold on. First of all, Jason and I are dead inside, so you gotta take that too.
You're with me? You're a corpse like me?
Yeah, I'm dead inside, so I don't really get hyped up for anything. But I think that the year that they got Odell was the big one. That was the one.
That felt bigger?
It did, because it was like, okay. Because you think like it's like he was like the missing piece. It was like you had the Thanos glove on. Like he was the last piece that you needed this puzzle. Bakery coming off of a great year. Jarvis doing his thing. Now you got an explosive receiver like Odell. Oh, this team is going. Like they're going to the championship. That's where you were at. When you look at this team, it's so many key guys coming off of injury that it's like, all right, at some point I know that that's going to play a part into it. But once they get going again, once their bodies get acclimated to it again, then I can see some stuff and be excited about it. But right now, it's so you got a new play caller coming in. You got guys coming off of injury, Nick Chubb. You got contract cut situations. So it's like right now it's hard for me to say that this is going to be just the greatest season, because if all 4 of these things don't align up soon, it's going to jeopardize the things that's going on in this season. So that, to me, is why I'm not anticipated or excited about it so far.
Totally agree on the Odell. That was by far, I think, the most highly anticipated season, to the point that they were lining up to get into the Muni lot the night before. And I don't mean like 2 or 3 people. I mean miles from all, if you add them all up at all the entrances of people just waiting to get in and cooking out. I drove down. I was getting ready to go to bed, and I saw on Twitter that all these lunatics were out there. I'm like, well, can't go to bed now. I got to drive out there and talk to them. So I drove out to the Muni lot at like midnight, 1 a.m, and people are grilling out and throwing football. Like it was something I've never seen before. And you had Baker. You still had Bleefin. So that to me was the most anticipated. And really, I would even say last year, because you get through the muck and the mess of the first year with Deshaun, with the suspension and everything hanging over it. And then you come into last year thinking, okay, like, got our guy now. Let's see what he's got. And now it's almost like, all right.
A little trepidation.
Do we have our guy? What's he got? So I don't think this would probably rank in the top 3, actually, if I sat down and thought about it in terms of like, I mean, sure, there's high expectations for the season, of course. Mm-hmm. But just the cheery-eyed optimism of some of the past seasons, I don't know. Like when you look at the schedule and you look at the quarterbacks that they have to face and like the division, and there's a lot of reason to certainly be optimistic, but also be like, boy, I don't know how this is going to go.
It's weird because I don't disagree with what you said about the quarterback and the schedule and some of the things that you have to bank on going right for the Browns to reach the pinnacle of what they hope they can get to. But at the same time, they won 11 games last year with the carousel at quarterback, and they led the league in turnovers. Mm-hmm. You have a carousel at quarterback, you shouldn't win 11 games. You lead the league in turnovers, you shouldn't win 11 games. You do both of those in the same season, and you should be taking the top 5, not making the playoffs. And for that, and maybe it's blind optimism isn't the right word because we know this team's good, they overcame a lot of legitimate body blows to get to the point they got to last season. Mm-hmm. And, yeah, you hope Deshaun and you expect Deshaun to play better than he did last year, assuming the shoulder holds up. Turnover luck is real in football. And I would hope with some better quarterback play, they go from leading the league in turnovers to even middle of the pack. That defense should be good again. They have the components to compete at the highest of high levels. Mm-hmm. And I don't know what the OBJ season preseason was because that was pre my time in Cleveland. I get a sense just from talking to Browns fans and being around the community as much as I am, like people are all in on this team this year.
Well, they always are. They were all in on 0-16.
Well, but it feels like
this is the
it
year.
feels like in a different capacity. Like
Deshaun Kaiser's the answer. Like, Browns fans can talk themselves at anything.
Yes.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? No,
but
it's like,
I think that when you you need to cut this out. You really are dead.
Yes.
there's no way after the 0-16 season they were like,
yes,
this
they
team
were.
has a chance.
Yes, they were. Are you crazy?
They went undefeated in the preseason.
Yeah, they did.
That's all it takes.
Yeah, they
Did
did.
you see what happened with
They
Summer League
went
Championship
undefeated in the
last year?
preseason, and then they didn't win a game all year long. But after that undefeated preseason, I could pull clips of people. This is our year.
Yeah, they did.
Here they come.
I mean,
Every year was our year back then.
but I understand why fans are excited about this and why they would feel that way. I mean, for the first time, the Browns are the aggressors. Like, they don't get pushed around. They do the pushing around. And last year was the perfect example of that, of how they came in there. The team that went to the championship, they knocked 2 of their starters out the game. Like, get out of the game. They scuffled before the game. The Browns was front and center, ready to go. Like, they had that dog mentality that you've been wanting for so long. So that's why a lot of people are behind this Browns team. They look, that defense is good. Yes, they didn't do well in the playoffs, but if they can figure out what they did wrong, which I'm sure they spent a lot of time watching that tape, breaking that down and understanding how was Houston so successful against us? Because we have to change those things. Because guess what Dallas is going to do? Do those same things week 1 and see what Houston did. They're going to find out if they fixed it or not. So everybody's excited about this season because they believe in Jim Schwartz and the new attitude that this Browns team have. And when you go get a Jerry Jeudy to go alongside of Amari Cooper, then it seems like all the problems are fixed.
Jason just dropped his phone in the middle.
David Njoku, it comes out here and he continues to pick out right off where he left. I don't know what Nick Chubb's status is going to be. But I told y'all, Jerome Ford last year, if you go watch his best 5 plays, 4 of the 5 came out of shotgun. If they're going to take this offense and make it out of shotgun, they've already shown that they can make explosive plays in the running game out of the gun. So it's a lot of things to be excited for.
You want to pick up your phone?
ADHD.
Yeah, you try.
All right, we're good.
Butterfingers, man.
Well, we're going to have Charlie Hughlett on in a few minutes, or in about 40 minutes, to give us a little insight into what the Browns' plans are for reporting, his excitement for the season. Have you talked to Charlie before, Jason, in your interactions?
Honestly, I don't remember.
So maybe not.
Yeah.
Why? Because he's the long snapper?
He's been there a decade. He signed in 2014.
That's the best job. That's the best job.
Long snapper?
Yeah.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
I agree. You know why? Because it's long snappers, their most important part is just snapping the ball back on field goal, but they are also gunners on punt.
Yeah, well, I want to ask about that.
Nobody blocks them. Now,
Yeah.
we had when I was in Seattle, when we was going up against Carolina, they had a long snapper that was really good at making tackles, so I actually my responsibility was blocking him and make sure he didn't get the tackle, which he had a goose egg that game. Shout out to me.
Attaboy.
But I like to know the shape that he's in, because in this preseason particularly, they run that vice. Vice, for people that don't know, is when you at gunner, the vice is when it's 2 people that you got to beat. When you get viced, it is the worst thing in the world. You think something hard, trying to defeat a vice as a gunner.
You think the long snapper is going through a vice drill, though?
No, they're not, because they're free. They're going to snap it and they're going to go. But I'm saying it's up to them in the preseason to make the play, because the gunners is going to be viced.
I see what you're
so
saying.
he got to be down there and at least force a fair catch.
I thought you were saying, I want to know how his conditioning is, because he's going through vice drills.
No, he ain't going through no vice.
Gunner. That'd be hysterical.
If he go through a vice, he ain't gonna make it. I'm gonna tell you right now, that vice the realest thing in football.
Yeah. So the Browns have their first practice tomorrow. Then they head out to Greenbrier on Thursday. Because we missed Monday. My days are all off. I keep thinking today's Monday, but today's Tuesday. So yeah, on Thursday they head to the Greenbrier. It'll be Deshaun Watson's first padded practice since injuring his shoulder last season. And we got some poll results, and then let's talk a little guards.
Yeah, so actually the chat disagrees with Tyvis and Jason today. Shocker. But 62% say yes, this is the most anticipated season since '99.
62%?
Yeah, no surprise.
That's it. They
living in the moment.
And
Yeah,
next year will be the most anticipated, and then the year after that will be the most.
I tell you what,
and then the year after that.
my last thing on the Browns, they better sign Earl's boy because Tyson Campbell just signed for $76.5 million. So them corners money's going up. That's all I'm saying.
It's good for MJ. And let's get a read. Oh, there's a bug on the window.
Yeah, we got a giant moth just hanging out with us back here in the production area.
That's going to destroy Jason's ADHD today.
Yeah.
There goes any production.
It's very distracting. I can't get the camera on it because it's right behind the camera. But I'm going to remind you guys about LinkedIn Jobs. When you're hiring for your small business, you want to find quality professionals that are right for the role. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs has the tools to help you find the right professionals for your team faster and free. And for free. LinkedIn isn't just a job board. LinkedIn helps you hire professionals you can't find anywhere else, even those who aren't actively searching for new jobs but might be open to the perfect role. In a given month, over 70% of LinkedIn users don't visit other leading job sites, so if you're not looking on LinkedIn, you're looking in the wrong place. On LinkedIn, 86% of small businesses get qualified candidates within 24 hours. If you want to hire professionals, you got to hire like a professional on LinkedIn. Just post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL. That's linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL to post your job for free. Terms and conditions do apply.
Awesome, guys. The Guardians are in a bit of a slump right now. They've lost 14 of 22, 7 of their last 9, 3 in a row. In their last 3 games, the offense has gone completely MIA, and frankly, that stretches back prior to the All-Star break. Tariq Skubal gave up a season-high 10 hits yesterday, but the only run he allowed was off a bases-loaded bunt single from Austin Hedges. Certainly not traditional. Jason, what is going on, and where has the Guardians' offense gone? Can you put a finger and any type of explanation to what the heck's happened to this unit?
I think a little bit of it's a regression to the mean. You know, how many times we sit here and say, how are they doing this? How are they doing this? Well, part of it, I think, was guys playing over their skis a little bit, so a little bit of that has come back. You know, when you're relying so heavily on Jose, Quan, and Naylor, if any of those guys are off, which – I mean, Quan last night, bases loaded, couldn't come through, had another opportunity with guys on base.
5 guys on base last night.
Yeah, it's highly unusual for him, but it happens. Like, he's still human, and he's obviously going through a little bit of a rut right now. So when you're relying so heavily on just those couple of guys, when they aren't firing, this is what you get. You know, I'm not panicked, a little concerned. Certainly, you'd love to see them add a bat between now and the deadline in a week. And there's time. Like, it's probably a good thing. Although I think they're pretty realistic and knew even before this little slump that they needed help. Mm-hmm. But this just reinforces that.
Travis, what say you?
I was disgusted last night. I've never seen an inside the park home run in Major League Baseball until last night. Live. The first time I seen it live. And I was like, just the whole thing.
That picture says it all right there.
The whole thing was just ugly. Like, you think I was bad last year in the softball game? That was about as bad. I didn't do that. He went out there, missed the fly, slipped and fell, and meanwhile, this dude is hauling around third base. He ain't even that fast. Hauling around third base and gets in and scores the inside the park home run. So at that point I was kind of defeated for the Guardians. But you're all right. I mean, it's just a slump right now, and so many times when the Josh Naylors, Jose, and Stephen Kwan, when they weren't having good games, it came from somebody in the bottom of the lineup. It was some spark. Tyler Freeman, Rocchio, even Bo Naylor as of late. You know, it was somebody that did something that kept the thing going. Well, now it's like everybody is just still at the All-Star break. Like, nobody's doing well right now, and they got to find a way to get it done fast. But the good news is the Twins is losing as well, so their league is still 4 games.
The Royals and the Twins are both 4 back now.
So Royals been hot since they came out of All-Star break, but the Twins have not won any games either. So they got a couple days to figure something out.
I'm going to address what you said first, and I'll respond to Jason. I was at the game last night, and in left field when the inside the ballpark home run was allowed. First off, it was an ambitious dive attempt from Martinez. I mean, an ambitious dive attempt. Yeah. And as you can see, it didn't.
That boy hauling.
It didn't pan out great yet.
This is what happens when you keep throwing shortstops in center field.
Yeah, well, and Noel didn't go over to help from right field at first, and by the time he got over there, Martinez tried to flip it up, and Noel threw it in, and Noel made a great diving catch later in the game. But on that play, they left Martinez out on an island. He misplays The dive attempt, it rolls behind him, it turns into an inside the park home run. I haven't heard
It was
boos
horrendous.
at Progressive Field at any game I've been to since I've moved to Cleveland. There wasn't a ton of fans there last night, but the Boo Birds were loud.
I'm sure they were.
And deservedly so, because that play by itself
it just
was
looked bad.
was not good. To Jason's bigger point of the team struggling right now, you go up and down the lineup. They don't really have anyone who's hitting. And my big takeaway in the last 3 games where they faced Dylan Cease on Saturday, who completely shut him down, Michael King Sunday, who had a one hitter till the 7th or 8th inning, like he shut him down. Scuba last night gave up 10 hits. They made contact, but they weren't able to put anything together. Those are 3 playoff pitchers, like 3 legitimate guys that you feel comfortable putting out in a game 1 or game 2 of a playoff series. And those are the kind of pitchers the Guardians are going to have to hit if they're going to make any noise in the postseason. And frankly, if you look at their lineup as currently constructed, if they don't make a move, I'm just not sure how you could have that much confidence in said lineup to be able to produce on a consistent basis against any of these top-notch pitchers. And they won games earlier in the year, and I was criticized for saying, this doesn't make sense. Like, enjoy it, but the numbers don't add up to the win total, and you don't complain about it. I was pointing out a reality.
Yeah.
And now it seems that when they're reverting to the mean, some of these hitters, and they're not getting these super timely hits from Arroyo, who went 0 for 4 with 4 strikeouts, or was it 3 or 4 strikeouts yesterday? He was 0 for 4, whatever it wasn't good. And these other guys aren't coming up with clutch hits at the perfect time. So then your bullpen can then shut it down because the bullpen's been extraordinary. You have to play perfect baseball to beat these guys. And right now the Guardians are not playing perfect baseball.
If the Guardians didn't make any moves, I'd be shocked because
I'd be pissed.
that I didn't want to go there, but I agree
I'd
with
be
that.
pissed.
Because I just think that you watch your other sports teams have the same success with the same thing. Everybody came up here with the Browns. I don't know how they're doing it, but they're finding a way to get it. At some point, it's going to catch up. Like it's just what it is. It's going to catch up.
And with the Browns turnovers, it's caught up in the playoffs.
If you sit back and know that you winning and in spite of, and you don't do anything to address it, you're setting yourself up for failure. So I think that you got no choice but to address this thing before the playoffs start.
They've had a hard time differentiating between who to keep and who to move and who to use as trade bait. Like this has been years in the process of who's our core guys and who's the guys that we can dangle and trade to get help. And they couldn't decide between Arias and Rocchio because neither one of them emerged. Like it's not all their fault. Like both of them sort of flopped.
Maybe they both miss, yeah.
Yeah, but there's just they haven't been able to bundle these guys and make a big move for multiple years now. And part of it, I think, is this fear of getting it wrong and moving on from guys who go on to have productive careers. So this is what you get. You get this, not a mess, but a muddle of 17 middle infielders. And, okay, well, can Tyler Freeman play center? Can Angel Martinez play center? And you just keep mixing and matching these pieces and parts. They do need to make a move, but ultimately their success is going to be predicated on the guys who are here. Even if they make a move, and they should, and I'll be upset too if they don't. And I think that they will. But if they go, they go get Randy Arozarena and plug him in the lineup. That's going to help a lot. They're still going to need somebody from the Noel, Martinez,
Schneemann.
Someone like they're not going to trade for 3 or 4 bats. You're still most of what happens this season is going to be determined by the guys who are here right now. Doesn't mean you don't make a move. Of course, you go out and you reinforce what you have. But let's be realistic about this. The postseason is going to rely on Gavin Williams and Tanner Bybee, and if one of those goes down, God help us all.
Yeah.
And whatever pitcher they go out and get can help, but those are the guys you're going to be relying on. And I hope they get a bullpen arm. I've said that for weeks. I hope they go out and get a bullpen arm. As good as the bullpen has been, go get another one. But for the most part, it's going to be reliant on Emmanuel Clase and Cade Smith and Hunter Gaddis, the guys who are already here. So as much as they need help, they also need this core unit of guys here right now to emerge and play a little bit better.
And I want to see Manzardo added back into the fold. I know his first stint up wasn't great, but right now you have about 37, and I'm exaggerating, but you have about 37 middle infielders on the current 26-man roster. It feels like everyone they have is a middle infielder. And if you're going to mix and match all those guys, you might as well call Manzardo back up and see if he could have more success in his second stint in the majors. Gives you a little more flexibility. And frankly, You have so many middle infielders. You could send Rocchio down to AAA. He would be my choice to send down, and not lose your utility man because you have Schneemann, Martinez, and Freeman still in the lineup.
And let's wait and see what happens today. I was doing radio this morning. We had Zach Meisel on, and Zach said Rocchio was packing his things last night. Had a box out and was putting some cologne and some personal items in it, which tends to believe that he might be headed to Columbus. So we'll wait and see if there's a roster move available today.
Come on down and get right, man. My boy McKenzie's still trying to figure it out. So
he had 7 walks over the weekend.
Yeah, come on.
It's not going well.
Yeah, come on down.
I have a question for you guys, and you alluded to this earlier, Jason, that this may be an eye-opening stretch for the Guardians front office to say, hey, some of these guys we were banking on being productive.
I think they already knew they needed help.
But just more.
Yeah.
Hey, it's out in the open. Like the David Fry experiment in the first 3 months, you may have had your skepticism that is it fully sustainable, but when he's hitting like he is, you don't touch it.
Right.
And now you're seeing some of these guys regress to whether it's the mean, whether it's just a slump, whatever. You said you think it may make them more aggressive because now they have more data points to kind of look at, pick and choose who can, who can't play, who can be in a postseason lineup, who can't be, who can pitch in a playoff game, et cetera, et cetera. Do you think there's any chance that the reverse is actually happening, where the front office may be looking at the situation and saying, maybe we're not as close to competing at a championship level as we thought 6 weeks ago or 2 months ago, and if we're not as close, this is not the right time to push all our chips on the table?
I hope that's not the case.
I hope so. I'm just asking the question.
I can see how you can come up with that, though. But like, you owe it to the fans and the players. Like you can't not do it. Like
1,000,000% absolutely not will they have that reaction. They're one game off the best record in the American League. They're one in the win total. They're one win behind Baltimore and I think the Yankees at 60.
Yeah, they both have 60.
And the Guardians have 59. At no point can you look at the last 2 weeks and say, well, never mind, nothing to see here. Closing up shop, we'll see you in 2025. That will not happen. This is totally different from last year. Last year, at no point did it feel to me like it was a contending team. It just, the numbers, you could maybe make a case, so if you squinted hard enough that they could make a run at one of those wild card spots. But at no point did it truly feel like a team that could make noise in the postseason. Did it feel like a contender? This is different. This year does feel like that team because the bullpen is so strong, because Jose's in his prime. Josh Naylor's playing, having a great year, maybe not playing well in this moment, but having a great year. There is enough here that if you supplement it, and again, the bulk of the work has to come from the guys who are here. But if you supplement it with one piece here, one hitter and one arm, whether it's a starter or reliever, I don't care. A bat and an arm, I think, is very realistic between now and the deadline. And plus, this, it's injecting life into the clubhouse so that, hey, they believe in us. All we need is a little bit. And Bybee said that the other day. All we need is just help us out. Just give us a little bit. And we can take it. And just the charge that it sends through an organization when you tell those guys in that clubhouse, we believe in you, here's a little bit of help, as opposed to last year when they subtracted. And again, I don't fault them for it. I defended it at the time that you sold on Aaron Savali at the top of the market. You cannot get more for Aaron Savali than you got.
Manzardo.
Yeah, Tampa's not making that trade 3 months prior to that or 3 months after that. That was the only time they're going to make that trade. So you maximize the value of the asset. Totally fine. But it sent a message to the guys in the clubhouse of, hey, they don't believe in us.
Yeah.
And it pissed some guys off.
Yeah, it did.
So you got to make hard decisions sometimes. I don't think that's going to be the case this year. I do think that they'll add to it, and I do think it'll give those guys a lift.
I was just asking the question. I wasn't saying that's what I think. And I think more than anything else, this organization owes it to Jose.
I totally agree
more
with
than
that.
anyone else, this organization legitimately owes it to Jose Ramirez to try and give him every opportunity to compete for a World Series title. He took the hometown discount of all hometown discounts to re-sign in Cleveland. Reportedly left upwards of $100 million on the table so this team could help put pieces around him to compete. And if this team, which has 59 wins, one fewer than Baltimore and New York for the best record in the American League, and I think 2 or 3 wins behind Philly for the number one most wins in all of baseball. If this team looks at its roster and says, we're not that close, we're just going to punt till next year, I don't know how much closer you could feel you are at this stage of the season than the Guardians currently are today. If they don't make a move, if I was Jose, I'd be pissed, and as a fan, I'm just going to be flat out, for lack of a better word, outraged. because they have to make a move to improve this roster.
Well, I
Big
knew,
or small, they have to do something.
I knew things was bad last year. I mean, yesterday when I got on Twitter or X and seen that everybody wanted Rosario back, so I was like, yeah, that's where we at.
I actually made that point this morning of like.
That's what.
No, I'm
He's
just,
hitting well this year.
I'm just saying he's having a decent year in Tampa, and my point, and
Take you back.
but that was tied back to the Bazzana conversation of before of just get a stopgap at shortstop because Jimenez is probably the shortstop next year, I would think, and Bazzana will slide in at second at some point next year. So all you need is a shortstop for the rest of the season. So you can make a short-term move there. I'd love to see Bo Bichette. He's hurt again. He's had calf problems all year long. Calf injuries are no joke. But there's plenty of shortstops to go out and get. And Ahmad Rosario is one of the names. Like you could easily package a deal together for Ahmad Rosario and Randy Rosarina from Tampa and make that move. Like that to me is a very realistic move
and
that
Tampa
helps your
Cleveland
lineup
front
instantly.
offices talk.
And
we know they do.
Oh,
yeah.
there's a lot of synergy. Those two are
I
close.
don't want Kyle back.
No, it wouldn't be that. But I mean, you could easily come up with the names to make that fit, to make that work.
Do you think, real quick, it looks like you were going to say something to my Jose point before Tyvus.
Well-
do you agree with the point that they owe this to Jose to do what they can to put him in the best position to legitimately compete for a World Series?
If winning is important to Jose, some guys it's not that important. And I'm not saying I don't know him well enough to know. Some guy, like he very well maybe, like he took the discount because he's very comfortable here. Because no one asks, like the media leaves him alone. How often do you hear Jose talk? Hardly ever. Hardly ever does he have to do group scrum interviews. And he's just sort of left alone, and he's sort of protected here and sheltered here, and he's making more money than he ever thought in his life that he could possibly make, and he's good. Now, some guys, they want to win, and winning is the most important thing to them. And if he's beating on Chris Antonetti's door every day and saying, look what I did for you, go get me help, then yeah, they owe it to him. I can't say with 100% certainty that that's all that's important to him. But the whole point of like playing for next year is bonkers to me. This could be the end of Josh Naylor in Cleveland. Like these could be the last few months of Josh Naylor in Cleveland because of his contract situation. Like this is just the reality where they're at. Probably not going to sign him long term. You can bring him back next year and play it out and lose him for nothing. But the history of this organization is to trade these guys and recoup assets for him. And coming off the year that he's having, he's got high value, even though he's only got a year left. And Manzardo's right there knocking on the door as a replacement. That's the whole reason to me that they made the move Savali for Manzardo was to be the Naylor replacement. So the time is now. The window is right now. This is the start of your window, and we'll see how long it stays open. But it is right now. There is no such thing as punt for next year.
Well, let me ask you this, then we'll move on and talk a little Cavs. As of 2 weeks ago, Jason, I think that's the right timeline. We had talked about on the show make a giant splash move. They're going to make just a tiny splash. They're going to make like where on the big move to little move scale do you think the Guardians are realistically fishing on this trade market right now?
I had this conversation this morning, and like Andrew Miller in 2016.
That was a big splash.
Yes, but it wasn't like, and maybe I could be misremembering this, but I didn't feel like it was the Guardians won the trade deadline in Major League Baseball because they got Andrew Miller. It was more of a wow, they're really going for it type of move, and they gave up some decent sized prospects for it at the time. Like
Clint Frazier was.
Clint Frazier was a top prospect at the time, and Justice Sheffield was a big time prospect. So I guess maybe it was bigger than what I'm giving it credit for, but it was a reliever. It was a good reliever, and it turned out to be an elite
Great reliever. Yeah.
But I think the trade paid more dividends than people realized within that moment. And that's why, like, I think, listen, they're not going to get Tarek Skubal. They're not going to get Garrett Crochet. You know, they're not going to get one of these top of the rotation type arms, I don't think. But I think a mid type of splash is realistic. Eric Fetty from the White Sox makes a ton of sense. The problem is a lot of the pitchers that are available are within their division. And we'll see how the teams like the Tigers with Jack Flaherty, the White Sox with Fetty, how they feel about dealing within the division. A guy like James Paxton just became available. I'm higher on Paxton than most. He's been knocked around his last 3 or 4 starts. Meisel said the advanced metrics on him are terrible. But
you still do it.
It's going to cost you nothing. He's got a base salary of about $2 million this year. It's not going to cost you a lot in prospect. To me, it's worth it to take a look at the guy. And given the way that this organization can mold pitching, look what they got out of Carrasco this year when he was left for dead. You know, I just think it's worth taking a look at the guy for what it would cost you. Now, if it's a significant prospect, obviously maybe not. But if you can get him for a guy who you in your system at ranked 30th or something like that, take a shot at him and see.
Why not? Yeah,
see what you can get. So there's arms to go get. I like Kirby Yates from Texas, from the Rangers closer. He's having a phenomenal year. There's 100 of those guys that you can look at and go get. So I do think that there's moves that they can make. It just may not be headline grabbers of winning the trade deadline necessarily.
That makes sense. Do you think, and then we'll wrap up with this, because there's so many teams that have pitching needs at the deadline, the prices will be inflated on
Yes.
everybody.
It
But to
always
the
is.
extent that a guy that should be in play for the Guardians is now, well, I'm using Eric Fedde's example,
Yeah.
and I'm not saying this, but all right, there's 7 teams interested in Fedde. We think he's worth a 25 to 30 ranked prospect in the system, but because there's so much competition, the bidding war has him between a 15 and 20 ranked prospect, so we're out.
I mean,
Could that realistically happen?
Absolutely. And Fedde may fetch you a top 10. Look at Fedde is Savali of last year. Aaron Savali had a great few months last year, also had some injury concerns, had a great couple of months. His numbers look good, and the Guardians cashed on it with one of the best prospects in Tampa's system. I mean, Manzardo was a top 2 to 3 prospect last year.
He was a top 100 guy in the league, not just
for
in
sure.
The, yeah.
I mean, Caminero was their number 1 prospect. Manzardo at the time,
I think he was 3 behind Bradley, the pitcher.
Taj Bradley, yeah, okay. So he's a top 2 to 3 guy. All right, do you want to give that up for Fedde?
Who's the
No.
top 3 for the guards right now? Because you can't trade Bazzana.
I mean, Chase DeLauder, number 1. Manzardo would be 2.
Velasquez 3.
Maybe.
So, would you trade Velasquez for Fedde? That seems like a price way too high.
Which is why, again, you go back to if you can get Paxton, if you can, and Zach, I talked to him this morning. He's like, you got to aim higher than that. Okay, the guy that they just signed, the lefty,
Matt Boyd.
Yes, Matt Boyd. You need to get this to October, and then I think your bullpen and your top 3 arms can carry you the rest of the way. You just have to get it to that point, and that means getting another reliever too. But also, you do have to guard against. I mean, if Tanner Bybee went down right now,
Yeah.
Why would you even?
I'm just saying they're sort of operating without a net right now. Their margin for error is so thin, particularly with the starting rotation. And yes, the prices are going to be exorbitant. We saw that again last year with Savali for Manzardo. This year's going to be much the same. And Baltimore, to me, Baltimore is going to drive everything. They've got the best farm system. They've got ready-made guys to plug and play right now, and they need pitching. Any team shopping pitching, the first call is going to be to Baltimore.
Yeah.
What do you want? What can we get for pitcher X? And everything is going to flow through Baltimore.
Interesting. Well, it'll be an interesting week and a half, 2 weeks, right? Deadline is is it a week from?
Yeah, about a week. 30th.
A week from today.
I
So
think
it's
it's
very
30th.
interesting.
I think it's 30th.
I think it is the 30th. Very interesting 7 days here for the Guardians, who can make or break their 2024 season with the right deadline moves. We're going to pivot, talk a little Cavs after a quick word from Anthony, who I think just fell over trying to smack the moth.
No, the moth just flew straight at my face. It was out for blood. It kind of scared me, I won't lie. But I want to remind you guys, so we had off yesterday, but you guys were all great and supported the Ultimate Guardian Show. If you ever need more baseball content, it's your one-stop shop on the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show YouTube channel. Subscribe and get notifications for whenever they go live. And also yesterday we had Ultimate Cavs, where Jason and Mike went in-depth on the Evan Mobley contract, which we're going to get into here right now.
Yeah, we're going to spend the next 10 minutes talking Evan Mobley. If you want a little more on the extension he signed with the Cavs, the rookie max, you can check out the Ultimate Cavs Show, which aired yesterday. But guys, Evan Mobley is the newest max player in the NBA. He agreed to the rookie max extension. It is a 5-year deal worth $224 million at minimum. Depending on certain incentives, could be worth up to $269 million. Jason and I both agreed yesterday, just by him signing the contract to stay in Cleveland, it is a win for the organization. Tyvis, what was your first thought on Evan Mobley signing the 5-year rookie max extension with the Cavs?
Selfish.
Here we go.
No, I mean, I knew it was something that was going to happen all the time. I thought it was the right move. I know a lot of people are they got mixed emotions about Evan Mobley, but I do believe that, under with Kenny Atkinson coming in, and if his plans materializes for Evan and he advances his game, he can be one of the best, in this game. So I have no problem with that move at all.
So Jason and I talked about the financial side of the deal for the Cavs, but Jason, you said you spent some time last night looking at the cap sheet for future years for the Cavs and how this Mobley extension could impact what Cleveland does with the rest of its roster alongside Mobley, Darius, and Donovan, because those three next season, when the extensions kick in, just those three alone, will cost the Cavs $125 million. It's a pretty expensive trio, but that's the way today's day and age of the NBA. Jason, what'd you find?
So it's not so much this year, it's next year that I don't know how they're going to avoid being a second apron team. As if you're going to believe that they're going to keep this team together as is constructed, I don't want to get I don't want to get too lost in the weeds with all the numbers, but basically with the way that the CBA is structured, it's not going to rise by more than 10%. It's been about 3.5% on average the last couple of years. So next year the cap line would be, the tax line would be $144 million, and the second apron would be $194 million to at most $208 million. So at the absolute highest it can be next year, the second apron would be $208 million. And right now they've got about $183 million committed to 9 players.
This is for 2025, 2026.
25, 26.
Which is when, just to clarify again, the Mobley extension kicks in.
Right.
And the Mitchell extension kicks
right.
in. So both of those by itself up the overall salary floor for the Cavaliers.
So I don't know. And there was about 4 teams last year that were second apron teams. And the whole point about being a second apron team is it just limits a lot of what you can do in terms of building, not so much retaining your own players, but building out rosters. So you're trying like heck to avoid the second apron. That's why Jaylen Brunson took the deal that he did. And I just don't see how the Cavs are going to avoid it. And so it's just fascinating to me to see this new world of roster building in the NBA under this new CBA and how things are going to go. They're certainly heading right for the second apron next year. And then if you want to dial that back and look at something like we were talking earlier this summer about like a Brandon Ingram trade. Well, a Brandon Ingram trade blows them right through the roof of the second.
Yeah, that's off the table, essentially.
So, I mean, you can do it, but you are for sure a second apron team. And the second apron teams this year, I'm trying to do this off memory, were Boston, Denver, the Clippers, and Phoenix. I think we're the only 4. Now, Boston and Denver are championship ready. I don't know if the Clippers and Phoenix, you would say, are championship teams.
And the Clippers let Paul George go because they didn't want to be a second apron team again.
Right.
And that they said that multiple times
right.
in their Notes app release of why they did not agree to contract terms
and
with Paul
Phoenix
George.
very well is going to have, their owner can bluster all he wants, but the reality is they may have to do something with those guys for the exact same reason. Like if you're in the Boston-Denver conversation, okay, you can live with being a second apron team. You don't want to be the Clippers and Suns and being a second apron team.
Yeah.
And so then the question becomes, and again, we're talking a year out from now, but this is coming. Which one is the Cavs? Are they in the Boston-Denver category? Or are they in the LA Phoenix category?
And that was the question I wanted to ask you, Tyvis. You now have your 3 pillars. We call it the core 4, but your 3 pillars for sure locked up for the next 3 years in Donovan Mitchell, Evan Mobley, and Darius Garland. And once again, those 3 alone in 25-26 are going to cost you $125 million. Jason, what did you say the projected cap line next year is for just the first
million.
But that's the second apron.
Oh.
You're talking just the
next year, anywhere from 144 to 154 million is the
just the
cap.
first tax. Exactly. So
is the cap.
Those 3 guys have you essentially at the luxury tax.
You said they 120, right?
The second floor apron will be anywhere from 194 million to 208 million.
So they're already up there. So Tyvis, it's how this works in the NBA. Darius got his rookie max extension.
Yeah.
Evan got his rookie max extension. Donovan signed his well-deserved max extension. When you look at that trio, it's an expensive trio, but is it the right trio to push all your chips in on?
I tell you what, it doesn't look great. at their peaks, I can see them being very effective. I can see them, making a lot of noise. It always comes back down to Evan, though, and that's the part that gets me. I mean, obviously, Darius had a terrible year last year, but even if Darius gets back to being Darius and him and Donovan figure it out, and Evan takes that next step, then yeah, I mean, you can make a nice championship push with those three guys because you got three guys that brings three different skill sets that are very effective in the NBA. But if they're going to be how they are now, then you just blew whatever that money was. You just kind of just threw it in the air.
Yeah, we didn't talk about this in particular yesterday, Jason, but the more I thought about it, if Evan makes that jump to being their best player, that slides Donovan to your 1B. It's really 1A, 1B. It's not good. He's not a 2. He's a 1B.
I think he's a 2, actually. I do think he's a 2. On a championship team, I think he's a 2. But regardless.
1A, 1B, whatever, 2. Yeah. I think Darius can be the third best player on a championship team.
Oh, 100%.
I'm not sure Darius can be the second best player. I know he can't be the first best player. At least as currently constructed, he takes a massive jump. That could change. But if you get Evan to the level of Donovan and or above, then yeah, that core can win a championship.
Let me ask you.
It's just a big if. It's a giant if. Yeah. It's a 7-foot unicorn size
When
if.
you say you don't see Donovan being a number 1 on a championship team, do you feel that same way about Brunson?
Yeah.
Okay. I just wanted to have that on record.
Yeah.
'Cause I feel like when I look at them two play, they kind of remind me of the same.
Oh, they're very similar.
So that's why I was like, I wonder if so New York is in trouble.
It also, I wouldn't pick the Knicks to win a championship.
Okay.
I think they're a really good team, but I wouldn't pick them to win a championship.
Okay.
Come on, New York. I said it. There's still a lot of Knicks fans that watch this show, I think.
Well, I mean, there is the track record of undersized guards being the best player on a championship team. It's few and far between. You have to be like legitimately historically special, not just good in this era of the NBA, whatever era you're historically. We're talking Steph. We're talking Isaiah Thomas. Like that's really it.
So going off of that logic,
and those are Hall of Fame.
So going off that logic,
generational talents.
We just wasted $120 million.
Not necessarily.
No.
Not necessarily.
No.
But not all the way.
Well,
no.
I mean, listen, Evan's got a lot to live up to. But also, where these salaries are headed, we talked about on the podcast yesterday, I think fans need to throw out the term max extension and what they think what that deems and the players worthy of that. If Franz Wagner gets a max, anybody's eligible for a max. Like, that's not a max player.
When you get a max, forget the money, how many years is a max?
5.
A
true max?
You could sign a 4-year max or a 5-year max.
Okay,
the true max is 5 years.
So Darius, Donovan, and Evan.
Well,
did they all
hold
sign
on,
5?
There's different. There's a rookie max extension, then there's a super max extension, which is different. So now you're fishing different waters.
That's cool. How many years on all 3?
Darius and Evan signed true rookie max extensions.
So they both 5.
Yes.
Yeah.
So when this is all done, so Darius got 4, Evan got 5. How many does Donovan got?
Well, Donovan added 2 to his current 1, so he's under control for 3 more years.
So we got 3, 4, 5 of control.
Well, yeah, I mean, Evan's actually 6 because
his contract doesn't kick in until next year.
So he still has 1. So
3,
Evan, you've
4,
got
6.
6.
3, 4, 6. Okay.
Well, if you guys want more on the Mobley extension, go check out the Ultimate Cavs show from yesterday. We talked about 25 minutes on the Mobley extension, what it means, the financial impact. Can he live up to those expectations? And
Jason
how
was
Kenny
there?
Atkinson, it was me and Jason yesterday.
I was there.
How Kenny Atkinson can try and unlock Mobley to help him live up to that price tag that he is now attached to. But we're going to pivot back to the Browns because we have a very, very, very special guest getting ready to join us. Ant, give us a read. We'll bring on Charlie Hughlett.
Yeah, before we bring in our guests here, guys, I want to remind everybody that I love sports. I love them so much I never want them to stop. But as everything winds down here in the summer and we get fewer games, the sports just aren't sporting like I want them to. However, FanDuel lets me keep the sports going whenever I want, wherever I want. All I have to do is open the app and dream up bets anytime I'm in the mood. And this summer, FanDuel is hooking up all their customers with a free boost or bonus daily. That's right. There's something for everyone every single day all summer long. All you got to do is head over to FanDuel.com/UCSS and start making the most out of your summer. FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of Major League Baseball.
And with that, we are thrilled to welcome on the longest tenured Brown, one of the best long snappers in the NFL. It is Charlie Hughlett of the Cleveland Browns, who is joining us right before he, I guess, maybe he has reported to training camp already. But Charlie, thank you so much for joining us today, man. How you doing?
Great. Thanks for having me.
Well, we are thrilled to have you. I got a ton of questions about A, the Browns camp, and C, long snapping. But we'll start with what's on the agenda for today, and that is veterans reporting to training camp. You've been with the team since 2014, Charlie. Do you still get butterflies reporting for camp like it's the first day of school, or is this just second nature for you by this point?
A little bit of business as usual. I mean, butterflies definitely come once we start getting into games a little bit, but especially early on in the season. But business as usual. It's just check in, signing your forms and getting ready to go.
Charlie, you've been with the Browns for a few years now. You've experienced camp at the facility, and then last year they took it to Greenbrier. Which one did you like better? And do you think Greenbrier makes that big of a difference when you go off-site?
I think I really liked going to the Greenbrier last year for the amount of time we did. I mean, we get away for about 8 or 9 days, and I think it's just really good for, camaraderie and chemistry and getting to know the guys. No matter how long you're with a team, there's always a couple new guys, a couple new faces. So just kind of getting that time to bond together, I think it's really valuable.
Have you reported already, Charlie? Are you in the facility as we're speaking right now?
I am. I got in here a little early, so I got in a couple hours ago and kind of get it checked in, get a little lift in before we get going here in a few hours.
How's the new weight room? Because that was something I know did not score high on the NFLPA report card last year. We saw some videos from Deshaun Watson's Instagram yesterday, and it looks spectacular. So I guess you're one of the first guys to test it out. How is it?
It's got to be the best in the league, I'd imagine. It's incredible. A lot of state-of-the-art stuff in there. They've really invested well in there, and I mean, for the last couple of years, we've kind of been in the indoor, with the COVID protocols. They've been making some changes, so this has been coming down the pipeline for a few years now. But it's definitely welcomed, and we're going to get a lot of great work in there.
Charlie, now I was a gunner in the NFL for a couple of years, and preseason was all the time for me to shine. But as I know, that during the preseason, there's a lot of vice that the gunners get, the two guys that they're trying to split, which means that it's your time to shine. Are you in shape and ready to go down there and make some tackles this year?
Absolutely. That's my that's always the goal for me. Starting to get a little long in the tooth there, so I'll do the best I can. But there's definitely a lot of double vice, and that is usually the name of the game in preseason. So you're right, that is more of my opportunity to shine.
Charlie, we talked about it off the top of the show. Whether or not this particular training camp, getting ready for this particular season with all the circumstances surrounding this particular team, is the most anticipated Browns off-season training camp 2024 season since they moved back to Cleveland in '99. I'm curious, from the inside perspective, do you guys feel a little extra juice going into the season, knowing how talented this roster is, how close you guys were last year, Deshaun coming back from shoulder surgery and all that goes into that? Do you guys feel the extra juice too, or is that just something we on the outside looking in kind of make up to get us through the summer?
I probably don't have the most exciting answer for you, but I would say we always have super high expectations. I mean, we definitely know we have a ton of talent and expectations are high, but inside the locker room, we try to, build our own expectations. And that's always the Super Bowl. That's always, winning the division. That's always the goal. So from that aspect, I would say, it's kind of business as usual, but, we know what the expectations are and we know what we have the ability to do for sure.
Charlie, I said earlier, I think long snapper is the best job in football. If you're good at it, you can do it 10, 12, 13 years. There's a great need for it. You don't have to be this massive monster like Myles Garrett with just God reached down and gave him these incredible DNA genes. You can be a normal guy and work in the NFL for 12 years. How did you get into this? And am I right that what's a better job, long snapper or backup quarterback?
Well, backups, they make a little more money, but they've got to know a lot more of the playbook. I would say I've been blessed to be with one team for going on 10 years now, and that's excellent for me and my family. Sure. I don't know that backups have that. Typically they don't get to stay with one team quite that long, but so I'd say there's pluses and minuses there. How I got into long snapping, I did it in high school. I was a tight end. I played a little center in high school and was a walk-on at UCF. And our snapper, my freshman year, quit. I think he got in an argument with the coach or something. So it was kind of an open tryout and ended up winning the job. And I remember head coach kind of sat me down and was like, "You're not going to tight end meetings anymore. You're just going to snap for us." And I remember being kind of shocked, but it was just, he didn't want the risk of getting hurt or something like that. So that, for my freshman year on, that was all I did. And I just kind of took it and ran with it, and never thought I'd be in the NFL, but it's worked out pretty good.
What's the most important aspect of being a long snapper? What do you have to do better than anybody else? Look one way and throw the ball the other?
I mean, accuracy is definitely important, but when you get to this level, everybody's accurate. I would say that the next thing is protection. You got to be able to block at least decently well, and that's something that coming in from college, a lot of the guys now, they have that like spread punt formation. So a lot of those guys don't have a lot of experience blocking, or maybe they're not quite the right body type to be able to block, NFL talent. So I'd say that's the next most important thing. And it's always a plus if you kind of get down there and at least get in the way and help out coverage a little bit.
Charlie, now we know, everybody knows, and you know that Kevin Stefanski loves tight ends. With that being said, and you being a former tight end, let's just say David Njoku breaks his shoelace and other guys aren't able to go. Are you prepared to step in there and make a play for the Browns at tight end?
I'll do whatever they ask. Good
answer.
In my practice squad years, Joel always reminds me of this, that they had me play a little bit of scout team tight end in 2014, but I mean, it wasn't much. I don't think the fans want to see that, but yeah, they asked me to, sure.
You're selling yourself short, Charlie. I'm looking at the pro day numbers you put up: 6'3.5", 245. You ran a sub 5 40-yard dash. I'm not going to mention it was a 4.99. I'm just going to call it a sub 5. Vert 32 inches. You broad jumped 9 feet 7 inches. You hit the bench press 22 times. I mean,
ooh,
that's some legit numbers there for a guy who I think you'd step in there. Stop selling yourself short.
What year is that? 2012.
What do those numbers look like today?
Oh, I have no idea, but not close to that.
Charlie, are y'all having a conditioning test? Are you ready for it?
Yeah, we are. Oh, absolutely. It's the conditioning test is everybody should be able to do it. It's like enough where you were working out, but no, I mean, everybody should be able to pass.
When I was with San Fran, ours was, I think it was 12 halves, and everybody kind of did them easily. So I was just seeing if everybody's different now.
We haven't had one in a number of years. This is the first year we've had one, and it's at least been 4 or 5. We've had some tough ones. I've even seen, back my rookie year with Dallas, I remember one guy didn't pass it as a running back. He got cut right on the spot. I was like, oh, man,
yeah.
that was a wake-up call. Little different now for sure.
Charlie, Dustin Hopkins just signed a massive extension here to stay in Cleveland, and I have a 2-part question. I'll ask the first one, then I'll follow the second one. When did you know that Dustin was a different kind of kicker? He obviously lost a job in L.A. to Cameron Dicker, who had a terrific season as well. Comes to Cleveland, we had our questions about him, but he was everything you could have asked for and more. As someone who's in the special teams room with him, you work with him, obviously, every time he kicks. When did you know he was built a little different and had a chance to be a really special contributor to the Browns?
Well, obviously, I've known Dustin in the past, just meeting him before games. You kind of end up communicating with all the specialists. And so I obviously knew he was really talented and had the chance to be special for us. I would say when you get into Cleveland, everybody handles these conditions a little different. But I would say for me, the moment where I knew he was having a very special year and was going to end up being very special for us was probably that Indy game. I think he had 5 field goals, hit one. I don't remember how long it was. Was it over 55?
56.
56. Yeah. I mean, that game, I was like, wow, that was very impressive. And I knew he was on his way to having a very special year. I couldn't believe he didn't make the Pro Bowl, to be honest with you.
When a running back runs for 1,800, 1,900 yards, a lot of times they buy their offensive lineman presence. When Dustin signs a $16 million extension, does the long snapper and the holder get a little bit of the cut too?
That's a good point. I haven't brought that up to him yet. I'll make sure to run in there after that and have that discussion.
Let us know how it goes.
Charlie, you've been here since 2015, correct?
14.
14? 15?
I was on practice squad in 14 here for a week or two, and then they signed me to the 53-man roster like week 17 or something. So I was on sweats on the side.
So you've seen some shit in Cleveland now. So you've been here for the good times and the bad. So now that we've moved past that and we can sort of laugh about it, you got a good story that nobody knows about from the early crazy days? I've heard of some craziness going on in the locker room. Is there anything you can share with us about some of the 0-16, 1-15 days?
Man, it was just, it was those were obviously tough years, and I remember, I guess the most shocking thing, which was the same thing that the fans are probably going through, was just some of the people that we ended up releasing that year. It was like you were looking around kind of like, whoa, that was not expected. But no, I mean, overall, those years were obviously tough. But those teams, the guys still fought. That was the thing about those years. I mean, it maybe didn't look like it, but, the attitude was still somewhat good in terms of like effort and wanting to do our best and get as many wins as we could. And even in those years, it was like, you sat at the beginning of the season, you were, of course you kind of hear like what the expectations were outside of the locker room, but inside, you still thought we had a chance to go do something special and shock the world. But obviously that didn't happen. But, those years make me very appreciative for where we're at now. And, it really just makes you not take any season for granted.
Charlie, what is the one thing you love about training camp, and what's the one thing you dislike the most about training camp?
I would say my favorite thing about training camp is just getting able to get back and spend so much time with the guys and get to kind of know some of the new faces and get back together with some of the people that, you've had previous seasons with, and just build on those friendships. I mean, the hours you're putting in, obviously, they're not the best, but it's just part of it. And you know that, you have the chance to build something great. So that's what you look forward to.
We've asked every Browns player we've had on the show the same question. We've had David Njoku, we've had D'Anthony Bell, we've had Greg Newsome, we've now had you. What makes Kevin Stefanski such a, I guess, special, for lack of a better word, a special head coach? What about him helps him connect to the players like they've all told us he does such a good job doing?
What I love about Kevin is he's so approachable and easy to talk to. I mean, anything you need or anything you have that you can bring up to him, I mean, it's like you could totally bring it up to him and you can kind of hash it out with him. I mean, there's nothing that he's not willing to have a discussion about. And so he's extremely like versatile in that way, in terms of, he'll take feedback from us and, he'll make the best decision going forward for everybody. And not all head coaches are like that. And it's been really nice to have somebody who, is willing to listen to the guys.
Charlie, it came out today that the Players Union and the league have started discussions on an 18-game season. I think it was inevitable. We knew it was going to head here. Just your thoughts on being a player. What do you think about 18 games? And if this is going to be bargained now during the current CBA, what would you like to see the players get back in return for adding an 18th game?
Well, to my knowledge, I don't know how far those discussions are going. I think they might be like preliminary at this point, but we have a long season as it is. As far as what we would need back and to get there, I can't even really speculate on that right now. I mean, that's a kind of a discussion we'll have to have as a union. Yeah. But we would definitely have to somehow figure out a way to mitigate risk to injury and stuff like that. I mean, it's just a long year already. So however they hash that out, and if there's a formal offer on the table, I'm sure we'll vote on it and see where it goes from there.
Charlie, now that Deshaun missed probably the second half of the season, he's going to be back this year. How excited are you, and how excited is that locker room to have number 4 back as the quarterback this season?
Oh, I mean, you can't even really put it into words. I mean, he's our leader. We go as he goes, and we all know how talented and special he is. So to see him and really build off of some of the things he was doing last year, we know the sky's the limit when he's at his best. So very excited.
We'll get you out of here on these last two quick ones. Charlie, thank you again so much for joining us today on the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. First, what are you doing on the sidelines when you're not long snapping? Are you a sitter, a stander? Are you looking at film? What goes on in your mind, and what are you doing between the instances you're on the field?
All the above. Sometimes I'm sitting. Sometimes I'm standing screaming. A lot of the times I'm kind of, like if we just came off of a punt or something, I'm looking at the pictures, figuring out what they're doing and just communicating with the guys. On punt team, it's a lot of defensive players, so sometimes it's a little difficult because they're out on the field, whenever I have the off time. But once we get back on offense, I'm warming up with Corey and Dustin and making sure we're ready to go. But, yeah, a little bit all of the above, really.
And last but not least, the NFL has implemented these new kickoff rules. I'm not sure how much you guys have gone over it already throughout minicamp and such, but put on your creative hat here. Let's just have a little fun. If you could put any two players on the Browns back there to return kicks in this new format, who would you most want to see get the opportunity to do so this upcoming season?
Man, who wouldn't want to see Nick Chubb back there when he's all healthy and ready to go? Why not Miles? Let's see what Miles can do returning some kicks.
I would hate to be a defensive back or a gunner trying to bring down Myles Garrett on the outside. Charlie, thank you so much for joining us. Best of luck in training camp in this upcoming season. You guys start at the Greenbrier, then kick off the season in September. Thank you again. And that is Charlie Hughlett, the longest tenured Brown, making his UCSS debut today.
Thanks, Charlie.
Thank you, Charlie.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Awesome. Great guy. No wonder he stuck around for 10
Yeah.
years. Yeah. Easy to see how he fits into a locker room and beloved by his teammates. Ant, you want to give us a read, and we will move on for one more topic before we welcome Mandy Bell to the show.
Yeah, while we do our other topic, I just want to remind everybody that you can like and subscribe to see all of our Ultimate content. You can text newsletter to the number here on your screen to get our newsletter. Earl writes an article about every Sunday night, goes out Monday. Executive producer Steve takes care of a lot of that and puts together a really cool content for you guys. And then also don't forget to become a member. We do overtimes for paying memberships if you are a coaches tier member. And if you're a starters member with just some emojis, make sure to drop some emojis in the chat when you're there.
Awesome. We got Mandy Bell coming on at 12:30, so we got to fill 15 minutes for you guys. The Browns obviously report to camp today. We will be more in-depth covering everything that happens throughout training camp every day here on the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. But we got 15 minutes, and Tyvis, I have not asked you your opinion yet on Jaylen Tyson. He had a terrific final 3-game stretch for the Cavs in the Summer League. He was not named to the All-Summer League first or second team, whatever. I don't know not sure who votes on that, but he was 1 assist shy from the 7th ever triple-double in the Summer League. How impressed were you with the 20th overall pick in the draft?
At first, I was like, okay, this guy's just the guy that's just going to get the ball, shoot, spot up and shoot, and he could get rebounds. And I thought that was impressive because I thought that was a role that could be filled by him that the Cavs kind of needed. If they're going to go with a smaller lineup, they need guys that can get to the board. So it was nice to see him still getting rebounds. He averaged 7 there. But the thing that they made him work on is they made him bring the ball up the court, and they made him kind of facilitate things. And I wanted to see him in that light. And at the first glance of it, it didn't look great. It kind of looked foreign to him. But as the thing went on, as Summer League went on, he got more comfortable with it and started getting more assists. So I like to see his growth. Just in that little short span, to see him grow that much, I think that he can be a good piece off the bench for the Cavaliers this season. As long as he continues to shoot, he still need to speed that jumper up a little bit more. But as long as he continues to shoot at a high clip and he's going to the boards and getting those rebounds, and he has the confidence to throw a dime to somebody, I like him. So I think it was the right pick for the Cavs to get him when they did.
He's going to get minutes. I don't know if it'll be.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be like Karis LeVert minutes, but
no, not. But I mean, again, as we talk about where the salary cap is headed, where the Cavs payroll is headed, Jaylen Tyson could be an important piece next year.
He's Karis LeVert's replacement,
or Okoro, depending on what happens with Okoro. Yeah. And he's not the same type of player, but just in terms of filling minutes on the wing, The Okoro thing is really interesting to me, and I've been saying I don't think he's coming back. And the more I looked at it, especially I spent some time last night looking at some of this stuff, his best move might actually be just sign the qualifying offer. Just come back for one more year, sign the qualifying offer, and then take your chances in free agency as an unrestricted free agent next year. But we can, we got plenty of time to have that. But for Jaylen Tyson, a lot of his minutes I think will be predicated on the guys in front of him, Karis LeVert, Okoro, if he's here or not. But there is a role for him on this team. And particularly, I know, we're talking about this year, but again, as we look ahead one year, for sure next year, is Karis LeVert back on this team? Probably not. Is Isaac Okoro back on this team? Probably not. 2 years from, 2 seasons from now. And that's is where rookie contracts are so coveted. So I think, Jaylen Tyson, this year will be an acclimation year for him. He'll play. He's going to get minutes, particularly as the year goes on. I think he can find a spot in this rotation. And for sure, going into year 2, I think he's going to have an important role on this team.
If everybody's healthy, he's going to have to fight for minutes, and there's a logjam at that 2-3 wing position that will have to get sorted out. And part of sorting that out is training camp battles, who's playing well, who's hot, who's not, et cetera, et cetera. But how often is everyone at that position healthy? And it's a war of attrition throughout the NBA season. So I do think Jaylen Tyson, whether he's ready or not, is going to have a legitimate role in this rotation. Not a massive role, but a role that's relatively consistent just because he fills the same positional need as Okoro, as LeVert, as Sam Merrill, as Ty Jerome. I mean, there's the plethora of guys. Even Strus.
6'7"?
He was measured without shoes at 6'5.5", which means he's 6'6.5", 6'7".
Why can't we get somebody tall?
He's the same size as Jaylen Brown. How much bigger do you
He's got some decent size.
He's prototypical wing size.
I want a 3-4. A 3
he's not a
3/4. My point.
Yeah.
I want us because if Dean Wade goes down again, we're gonna be in the same situation.
The front court depth is a legitimate issue for the Cavs. But my point is with the Tyson role in his minutes, he's gonna go into camp, and yes, Strus is better than he is today, than Tyson is. LeVert's better than Tyson is. But would you be shocked if by midpoint in the season we look at Tyson as a better player than Isaac Okoro? Like, would you be shocked? No. I don't think
Certainly a better shooter.
Yeah, I don't think you'd be shocked if he surpasses
if he speed his jumper up.
Sam Merrill in terms of a guy you can
I'd be
plug
shocked
in.
as far as
No, I'm just
better
saying
shooter.
No, just as a player.
Oh, better player.
Just as a player
Okay,
when you're coming off the bench and you're filling the roles here. And I made a whole list of these guys, and then I just got an email, so I got to pull it back up. But there's a logjam at that 2-3 spot, and the question is, and Ty Jerome, like if he was better than Ty Jerome, who knows if Ty Jerome's even alive at this point?
That's Earl's boy.
We haven't seen him in forever. I don't think it's impossible for him to be the 9th guy off the bench for the Cavs as a rookie.
No.
Play 10, 12 minutes a game, and if guys are hurt, steps in, fills a bigger role. He gives you a little more size and versatility on the defensive end. He gives you a different stylistic secondary creator option on offense. He's got a chance.
I gotta see him mesh with the other players. Like, I need to see what it looks like. How does he fit in? Because Summer League, he's the star. Like, he's literally controlling the ball.
And he looked very different in the games he played with Craig Porter Jr.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
And the games he played without Craig Porter Jr. Without Craig Porter Jr., he had the ball in his hands more of a facilitator, a creator, a playmaker. With Craig Porter Jr., his numbers in those first 2 games, he did some good things, but the numbers weren't jump off the screen.
Like I said, long term, I think he's Karis LeVert's replacement, and that's why they're trying to get him comfortable with doing some of the things that Karis is doing currently for this team. But this season, I would have to see how he fits in there with. At first, I got to see what Kenny's offense look like, anyways, and then I got to see how comfortable is he when he's got all these other dominant players on the court.
One of the things we do know about Atkinson's offense is he wants multiple playmakers on the court, as many as he can put, so they can run different sets from different positions with different players. Mm-hmm. And Tyson certainly fits the mold of a secondary playmaker a lot more than a guy like Merrill or Okoro, Okoro has his own skill set. They're very different players. Yeah. But a guy like that theoretically would.
He's comfortable with the ball in his hand. He played that way.
Yeah. He looked good. I mean, like I said, the couple of summer league games that I saw him, he did a good job of bringing the ball up. I mean, it was literally they got the ball, gave it to him, and he literally pushed it up the court, and he was able to facilitate. And he looked fine. He looked very comfortable doing it. So that was very good to see that, because I know at some point of the season, he might have that responsibility. I hate the guys that get the ball and immediately look to give it to somebody else. Like, I hate that. Like, get the ball and be comfortable to at least dribble it up the court. Like, don't let them take it from you, but be at least comfortable with bringing it up the court, because you never know. Not some other guy sprinting. If we're going in transition, if we're going to be one of those teams that's getting out in transition and sprinting
Which
around.
Atkinson likes to do.
Yeah, he got to be able to push the tempo. Like, get the ball up the court. We can't be looking for one person. Like, get it and push the ball up the court so that guy can get up the court and we can make a play before they even get set on defense.
Yeah.
I was impressed mostly with his passing ability and his ability to find cutters when he drove. Defense collapsed to find the extra guy, because that wasn't something we saw a ton of from him at Cal.
Yeah.
And the more I go back and think about it, I think he was just like, shoot, a bad shot for me at Cal is better than a decent look for some of these other guys. He gets in Summer League, and guys like Hunter Couture.
I got a question for you, Summer League question. How much of that style of play and offense that the Cavs ran, is that a translation of what Kenny wants to run, or do that head coach for Summer League runs his own stuff?
They don't run anything. They just
curious.
play.
I'm just curious.
Kenny was only out there for a few days. I was surprised he was there at all. I didn't think he was going to be there at all.
Yeah, when you texted me that, I didn't think he was going to show up.
Yeah, he was. I think they ran through one or two practices, but you don't really have your team. You know, what you saw is not what the Cavs offense is going to look like.
Okay.
Now they did have a lot of their guys out there. I did not see Donovan out there, but like Jarrett was out there, Darius was out there.
Struce, Mobley were both out there.
Yeah, so they had a lot of their guys, and I think they got together with Atkinson at some point and went over some things. But what you saw on that floor, I wouldn't read too much into it.
You have essentially one practice to install an offense with 12 guys. Half of them have played together before. The other half have never been on the court with them.
Yeah.
You essentially, all right, we're going to call pick and roll fist or whatever. We're going to call the generic. It'd be like in football.
It's the
most basic install of all time.
It's the first preseason game where none of the starters play.
Yes.
Or the last, however they want to do it. Wherever none of the starters play, so they're gonna make their playbook vanilla so everybody can play in the game.
Yeah, we're gonna put in just enough that we can call something from the sideline so you know where to go. But it's a high. I bet you every team in the Summer League, if you were to go back and watch, ran the exact same 3 plays, and then a couple of them, if they played more together, like Miami or Memphis who made the championship, added a wrinkle or two in. But it's essentially copy and paste.
All right. Great lesson. I was just curious.
Last thing with Jaylen Tyson, then I'll let Ant do a read, then we'll get Mandy Bell ready. A, he looks physical, and B, his personality is infectious. Mm-hmm. Anyone you heard talk about him, or anytime you heard him on a mic from Vegas, like, this dude just seems to get it. And it's Summer League. That may mean nothing in the future. He may be pissed off if he doesn't get the ball enough, or he may not mesh with someone, whatever. That dude is an infectious personality. It's going to fit right in my opinion, to what they need in the locker room.
That's how I feel about Jason.
Infectious personality?
Yep.
Or just an infection? No, and we saw that with Jaylen Tyson at the introductory press conference, cracking jokes and very loose and very, I think the locker room is not a concern with that guy at all.
No, he seems like he's going to fit right in. Seems like a great hang, for being honest.
Yeah.
In terms of all
kick it with you?
In terms of, I actually covered, I didn't realize this, I covered his high school state championship game when he was in Texas. They do all the state championship games on one day.
Yeah.
And the team I was covering played in the game after his game.
Where do they do those? Dallas? Or what do they do?
At the Alamo Dome in San Antonio.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
I knew that.
I saw him play, and it was like, oh, he's good. He's going to Texas. Clearly was the best player on the court. And then it didn't hit me until I was reading the bio, and that was him. So
that's a shame.
Why?
That you didn't remember this guy. You should have been able
I was just there. Like, I didn't.
He wasn't even covering him.
So what?
Just there.
Yeah, I mean, people didn't know, wasn't covering LeBron, and just so happened to see
different level of prospect than LeBron James.
And Jaylen Tyson.
And he also went to. When I put 2 and 2 together, I remembered it.
Yeah.
But he went to Texas, then Texas Tech, then Cal. This was in 2018. It was his junior year. Like, it's been a while. So.
You know, the first time I ever met LeBron, he was a sophomore in high school eating a sub sandwich in the locker room. Asked me if I wanted half his sandwich.
Why were you in a high school locker room, Jason?
It was well after the game. Like
That is a good question. That's a very valid question.
It was at the Jar. He was dressed. It was at the Jar. He was the one went in there, and he was eating a sub sandwich. He said, "You want some?" No, I'm good.
You should have said yeah.
You could have broke bread with LeBron.
I would have said yeah just to see if he would have given it to me. To be honest with you,
Sophomore
he
in high
probably would have. But I would have been like,
Sophomore
no,
in high
I'm just kidding. I just wanted to see if I just wanted to check your temperature.
And the
was a long time ago.
clip's over. I got another LeBron question, so you can.
Oh yeah,
finish
go
the-
for it.
yeah.
I'm still waiting for Mandy.
Real quick on LeBron.
Yeah.
Freshman year, did he blow onto the scene like
Yes.
that was the
everybody
dude?
knew.
Eighth
Freshman
grade.
year,
Did,
everybody
did,
knew.
did he blow up as
I
an
think
eighth
eighth
grader?
grade is when I'm trying to remember because I didn't really cover him then. I was working for a newspaper up here in Cleveland. But I think eighth grade is when he was really sort of emerging, and by ninth grade everybody knew, and then 10th grade is when it really blew up.
Sitting there, he's sitting on the bench eating the sub. You want some?
Yeah.
That's better than my first time meeting LeBron. I can't tell that story in there though. I told you it was in the locker room the day I met you. No, when I met you.
Yeah, in Boston, right?
Yeah.
I don't remember the details of that now.
You don't
LeBron's
have to, you don't
been
have to talk if you.
LeBron's been to so many
aren't properly
OSU
dressed.
games, and I don't know if I've ever walked up to him and shook his hand.
Scared.
No, I was mad at him because he had my jersey on.
He had your jersey on?
Oh,
When?
23. The Ohio State.
Oh.
Did it have his name on the back though?
Not at that moment, but
Just a
now.
blank 23.
But now all of a sudden, now you go to the store, it says 23 James on the back.
Does it really?
I never told you the story
That's,
about that.
that's
No, I
actually
don't think
cold.
so.
Yeah,
I
that's-
never told y'all this. Oh my goodness,
I
is
haven't heard
Mandy there? Is she there?
No, not yet.
Okay, let
Okay.
me tell this story. So, listen, LeBron shows up to the national championship game. He got the 23 jersey. I was like, oh, shoot. Oh, shoot. He's showing love. So I get MVP. I'm like, oh, yeah. Listen, I done made it. LeBron and showed up with my jersey. So, as you know, back then, before NIL, they only sold the number one in the bookstores and whatever year it was. So 1 and 15 would be the two jerseys that they sold in the bookstore. So 2015 come around, I just so happen to be in the bookstore at Barnes and Nobles. I see the 23. Jason, I about cried. I said, oh my God, I done made it, y'all. My jersey is in the store. I flipped it over. It said James. I said, I hate him. I hate the man. I hate him. I have beef with this dude ever since. He ruined a moment where I almost cried. So, yeah, that happened to me.
That's a shame. We got Mandy Bell, so Ant, let's bring a read and we'll bring in our
Yeah,
next
before we
guest.
bring in Mandy, guys, I want to remind you that when you're hiring for your small business and you want to find qualified professionals that are right for the role, like Earl and I, that's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs has the tools to help you find the right professionals for your team faster and for free. LinkedIn isn't just a job board. LinkedIn helps you hire professionals that you can't find anywhere else. Even those who aren't actively searching for a new job might be open to the perfect role. In a given month, over 70% of LinkedIn users don't visit other leading job sites. So if you're not looking on LinkedIn, you're looking in the wrong place. All you have to do is post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedonnfl. That's linkedin.com/lockedonnfl to post your job for free. Terms and conditions do apply.
And with that, let's welcome in Mandy Bell, who covers the Cleveland Guardians for MLB.com. Mandy, thanks so much for joining us today. How you doing today?
I'm good. How are you guys?
We are doing well. We'd be better if the Guardians were winning and hitting the ball more than they have over the last few games. So I want to start right there, Mandy. What's going on with this offense, and how have the bats gotten so cold so quickly here?
I mean, ups and downs are going to be expected throughout a long season like this, but I think that I think Austin had just said it best last night, where they're trying to respond right now to being a team that everyone is circling on their calendars, trying to make sure that they know exactly how to attack this team because they've been good. And so they haven't been able to make the adjustments of how strong some opponents are attacking them right now. So it seems like everyone's gone cold at the same time. And whenever that happens, everyone's trying to be the guy who's going to break the whole team out of the slump. And then everyone's pressing a little bit more. And it's just this domino effect. So I think that they just sort of need to figure out how to slow it all down and allow it to come to them maybe a little bit more rather than trying to press for it to hurry up. But I know Guardians fans, at least from my mentions, are pressing the panic button just a little bit.
Don't read your mentions. That's the best advice I can give. Don't ever read
I
your
know.
mentions.
Cut them off.
Realistically, a pitcher, starter or reliever, a hitter. I think that's doable at the trade deadline. I think that's realistic. I want your thoughts on that. And also, people are going to think I'm crazy. Randy Arozarena, Ahmed Rosario. Bring them back. Your thoughts?
Wow. I wasn't expecting Ahmed Rosario to be thrown in today. So
I mean, why not? I really wanted Bo
Hey.
Bichette. I really want Bo Bichette. Obviously, he's down again
Yeah,
with the
not
calf.
now. Yeah.
There's 100 different shortstop options out there that are better than what they've gotten so far. Obviously, there's a lot of synergy between the two organizations. The Rosarina fills a big need, and Rosario is a one-year stopgap just to get through the rest of the season and figure it out. You could do worse.
Yeah, I agree. I think you could definitely do worse, and I think we've sort of seen it so far this year where they just haven't gotten the production from that position. So, yeah, I definitely think that anything, and I'm sure that they're well, they obviously know the problem, and so I wouldn't be surprised if there's moves even coming internally in the future so that they can try to find some sort of a fix right now. But yeah, I think that starting pitching is very obviously a need right now, especially when you're trying to check in on Tristan McKenzie or Logan Allen down in AAA, and you see Tristan McKenzie just had 7 walks, and it's just that's not the progression you're looking for a quick return. So they need help in their rotation. They need a guy that you can actually know will go 6 innings and can try to save this bullpen so that the bullpen doesn't get so overworked that they're not as electric as they've been all year down the stretch, because they're going to need to be able to rely on them. So again, another domino effect. I do think that they're going to have to try to attack this starting pitching market. The question is just how big of a market is it? Are there going to be a lot of names out there? They are probably expecting this to be a little bit of a thin market and highly competitive. So I'm not quite sure if they're going to be able to find that perfect match. I know someone like Kikuchi is like what everyone has said that should be attainable. Maybe it could be, like you said, Bo Bichette was a name that I saw a lot of fans saying that they wanted, but obviously not now. So Randy Arozarena, how do you say no to that? So if they can make that happen, make that happen. It's just whether or not anything will actually transpire over the next couple of days.
Well, Mandy, I'm trying to fix it within the organization. Is it time for them to give Kyle Manzardo another look up in the majors?
I think it's a thing of just like, why not at this point? Because they're looking for an answer, and he could be, and he might not be, but right now is why not try anything? And so I wouldn't be surprised if he does get a call back up soon. It really wouldn't surprise me because, again, why not at this point? They're looking for someone to try to jumpstart this offense. They've been able to rely on Angel Martinez and John Kenzie Noel to try to bring some energy heading into the All-Star break. And now maybe they need youth again to try to pull them out of this. And Manzardo could be that guy.
Manny, you spoke with Austin Hedges last night, so I have to ask this question because I was at the game, and the last thing I was expecting in the entire universe to happen with the bases loaded against Tariq Skubal was Austin Hedges to lay down a perfectly placed bunt down the third baseline. They lost the game, and I don't like reading when they lose sometimes, so I did not read your article, and I apologize, but did he talk about that bunt and what went into it and whether or not it was just a call or what he saw? How'd that come to fruition? It was the most beautiful thing I've ever seen in my entire life.
Yeah, not only bases loaded, but 2 outs. It was ridiculous. Like, no one in the building was expecting that. Even Stephen Vogt said that. He caught everyone off guard. But I just said, look, one, if the third baseman's playing on the outfield grass, expect me to lay down a bunt every single time, because why not? He said, also, I'm facing one of the best pitchers in the world, and I thought that getting a bunt down would be easier to get a hit than to actually get a hit. And they needed a run there. They needed something. And Austin Hedges isn't known for his bat, so yeah, he's probably right to take that assumption that maybe a bunt would be easier. He's never been shy in bragging about his bunting skills. He's never shy about anything, so I think he was very confident in himself there, and it did get the run across. It just didn't spark the rally that he was hoping it would.
Yeah, we love Austin here. We are a Austin Hedges stan show, if I do say so, for speaking for everyone here. Our producer, Ant, looks just like Austin Hedges too, so when that works out, you have to. But back to the trade deadline and what's going to happen in the next week, Mandy. If you had to guess on a scale of big fish hunting or deep sea fishing, and the top targets on the market to catching a little guppy in the side of a creek. Where do you think the Guardians are going to fall on the scale of whoever they attempt to acquire at the deadline?
I just never in my brain do I associate the Guardians with the big fish. So I don't think I would ever just assume that. I think that's a territory where you can just be pleasantly surprised if it ends up being in that way, in that category. But realistically, to keep your expectations in a right area, I would say somewhere in the middle of the pack. I don't think it's going to be some blockbuster type of head-turning move, but maybe they just do something to try to add to this, at least the starting pitching depth, and not put all of their eggs in the Matthew Boyd basket of hopefully when he is completely recovered and finished with his rehab program, coming back from Tommy John surgery somewhere in August, probably middle of the month. You need to have a little bit more assurance than that. So hopefully they can maybe make some sort of middle of the pack type of move to at least try to chip away at some of their lack of depth issues.
We've seen so many guys come up this year. What's the method to the madness? Are they just looking for somebody to give them a spark, or are they showcasing these guys to other teams knowing that the trade deadline is coming? So now every team in baseball has gotten at least a little bit of a glimpse of a lot of different minor league type guys.
I mean, I think it's more trying to figure out to see what sticks for them and trying to get as much of an idea of what they have in their own organization before they move on from them, because they've made mistakes in the past and they talk about how much they regret some of those mistakes and how it's hard to move on from some of those. So they're trying not to make those mistakes again, and they want to see guys as much as they can. I think it's harder to say showcasing now as it was maybe 20, 30 years ago, just because of all of the research, the video, the documentation of every single player back to high school, basically. You can watch all of these guys doing every single thing. It's ridiculous with the type of video that they have now. So sure, it's nice to see them and how they can pan out at the major league level, because you never know. You can be the best AAA player of all time and you still might not be able to make that transition to the big league. So it is nice to see that and to show that you can handle that transition. But I mean, when you want to just see everything that a guy has, you have that at your disposal basically now. Every team has a database that you can dig into every single player. So I don't know if it's as much that as it is they're trying to make sure that they're not going to move on from someone that they're going to regret.
When you talk about that, we've been talking for years about this 40-man roster clog and being able to protect everybody in all these minor league, and they've never been able to package them and make a deal. We see the Padres do this 7 times a year, where they take 2 and 3 and 4 prospects and bundle them together and go get somebody. And I understand they spend more, and that's fine. But is there a part of this that's like they aren't sure which one to keep and which one to move on from, so it has sort of become paralysis by analysis? There's just a glut now in the system because they just haven't pulled the trigger on any of these guys. And I wonder if it's because of fear of exactly what you just said. We can't make a mistake on this guy and trade somebody away who's going to be good. So instead, they've done nothing.
Yeah, I mean, we don't know the actual answer, but that would be my best guess, because we've all we can all see it. You see how many guys who were projected to be at the big leagues at the same time for the same 2 middle infield positions, and you're starting to do the math like, okay, well, there's 2 spots. You already have Jimenez locked up. So where's everyone else going to go? Right. We've all seen it. And the fact that they hung on to everyone, it does seem like they just don't want to lose the wrong guy. And you see that guy go somewhere else and have tremendous success, and they've seen that in the past. And so they hoarded all these middle infielders, and now it seems like they're all kind of okay, average. No one has jumped completely off the page at any of us so far. So it's sort of like they're stuck with a overload of middle infielders, and now they just added Travis Bazzana into that mix as well.
Now they can trade all of them because now Bazzana's here. So trade them all.
Exactly. If you're trying to get Bazzana up to the big leagues as soon as maybe like the end of next year or something like that, like there's no need to keep having all of these guys. So yeah, they have some middle infield that they could move if they would need to in a trade. They don't need all of these guys who are basically major league ready, if not borderline major league ready.
Mandy, let's say the playoffs started today. Who is your starting shortstop and who is your starting right fielder?
I'm glad the playoffs don't start today. Honestly, oh gosh, if it starts today, I guess Daniel Schneemann at shortstop, which seems weird, but I think that's he's earned that. And I think, I guess you could get creative because of the way that Tyler Freeman's been playing. You maybe can move him to center field and have Angel Martinez come take shortstop, or you just have Tyler Freeman at shortstop, just because his bat has looked the best in July of anyone on this team. So if it's literally going by today, maybe you figure out how to get both of them in there. But I guess I'm going Daniel Schneemann at shortstop and right field. Oh boy. Let's go John Kenzie Noel just because of the bat. And
Okay.
I obviously don't know who the opposing starter is going to be, so you can't really base it off of that. But let's go for the bat right now. And then maybe if they get a little bit of a lead, you swap him out for Will Brennan out there for a defensive replacement.
Think about how numbing that is, what you just said. Daniel Schneemann at shorts. We just got done talking about they have 37 middle infield prospects that they've been hoarding for years.
And he's not one of them.
And if the playoffs start today, Daniel Schneemann is the guy who's not even anywhere on any of those lists. Like, that is bonkers.
It is. But I think it also speaks so highly of Schneemann and what he's been able to do. He's like wowed every single person in spring training. He's one of those fun stories where he's an older type of call-up and already has a kid at his major league debut. Like, that's so fun. It's great. So let's go for the heartwarming story, if nothing else.
Well, we mentioned Schneemann not on the list. We do know Travis Bazzana is on those lists for the Guardians, the #1 pick, and I know you had a chance to sit down with him, Mandy. Can you take us behind the scenes on the process that led the Guardians to making Travis Bazzana the #1 overall pick? Was he always their guy? Was it a change in the process late and landed on Bazzana? How did that all unfold for the Guardians, who made the first ever 1-1 selection in organization history?
I think if they could figure out the money, he was going to be their top guy regardless of everything else. It seemed like that, at least. He's the perfect match for this organization when you start breaking down everything that he does.
Middle infielder.
Yeah, of course. That's #1 on the list.
And left-handed bat.
And yes, #2 on the list. And then you also have the ridiculous contact ability, the off-the-charts plate discipline, which is what this organization obviously they are so attracted to. And then he also has some power threat, which is a nice addition, which hasn't been in this organization too often. So you have all of that coming together. It just seems like this is the match made in heaven for this team. So you have him. And then I think it was more coming down to, okay, how can we best utilize this spot to get a guy at 1-1, but maybe not break the bank on him so that we can also, you saw some high schoolers taken on day 2. You want to make sure that you're able to bring those guys in. And so I think that he was the type of guy who was willing to take a little bit of that pay cut. You saw the slot was like around 10.5. And he ended up signing for just under 9, which I was shocked by. I thought it would at least be over 9, but they got him under 9. So you look at that difference, and that, how do you say no as an organization if he's willing to do that? So I wouldn't have been surprised if JJ Weatherholt was another guy, just because he seemed like a type of person who would have been able to sign for under slot. So of course, with this organization, it always does come down to money. So they were able to get this guy at the perfect price. So I think it just ended up being a match made in heaven. But they did say it came down to like 20-25 minutes before the draft started that they made this deal.
That's crazy and awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And we had his coach on last week, and his college coach could not have spoken more highly about Travis as a baseball player and a person. And in your brief interaction with him, did you get that same sense of the entire package that he's bringing to
He
Cleveland?
basically put him up for the Nobel Peace Prize.
Yeah, he did.
His coach?
Yeah.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah.
It was incredible.
I don't know if I can get Nobel Peace Prize vibes within a couple minutes, so I won't go that far. But no, he seems like a great guy, and you could tell by the way that he interacted with the big league team, and he's been for the last couple of days working out with them, taking ground balls, hitting in the cages, and it just seems like he fits already, which was, I think, a big testament to just his personality and how relatable and personable and all those things that he is. But I think that the other side of it is just like the analytical brain that he has and how much he just dives into everything as to why players might be better than he is, why this guy might have an edge, and how can he figure out how to get better. And they talk all about how he had presentations in college to the pitching staff on what pitches they should be throwing in certain situations. And like, he has this brain where he just constantly wants to learn and get better. And he's ridiculously coachable. So those two also are big reasons why this is a perfect match for this organization specifically.
Let's put a bow on the trade deadline. The most pressing need for this team right now is,
I mean, asked me 2 weeks ago and it would have easily been the rotation. And now you start thinking a little bit more about this offense. But I'm still going to stick with the rotation, because if you're only having Tanner Bybee being your guy one every 5 days, where you're going to have it be manageable, where you can have a guy get to the 6th inning, keep runners off the bases, like, if you have 4 of those 5 days that are question marks right now, and you're not sure if the starting pitcher is going to give up 6 runs, no matter how great your offense is, that's a lot of work. So I think right now it's still starting pitching. I know they have Matthew Boyd, but it's just so hard to just completely put all the eggs in that basket. Not sure how he's going to come back from Tommy John surgery. So I'm still saying starting pitching, but ask me in a couple more days if this offense stays quiet, and it might switch over to a bat.
Awesome. Mandy Bell covers the Cleveland Guardians for MLB.com. Make sure you check out her work. Mandy, thanks so much for joining us, and we'll see you at the ballpark soon.
All right. Thanks, guys.
thank you.
Thank you, Mandy. And we are out of ad reads. Do we have any super chats?
So if you did have a super chat, because it says that we did have one, but it is not appearing for us, please send it again, but do not spend the money again. Just say at Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show so I can read your message. I don't know who sent it. I missed it, but it's supposed to be in there, and it's not. So I don't have any as of the moment.
Well, we got time to kill. We have 10 minutes before the end of the show. Did you guys watch any of the Team USA basketball and the close encounters against South Sudan?
Cause for concern.
Yeah.
Cause for concern.
LeBron
Legit.
is the superhero right now.
I mean, Germany is good.
Man.
South Sudan is the worst team in the tournament.
South Sudan should not be within 1 point of that team. So these Olympics are about to be very
They just bait
interesting.
no. They bait no. They just
We'll
toying.
see.
They toying with them
We'll
right
see.
now. They trying to see how far can they like ease off before they can come back and take over. Y'all sick.
Listen, at the
Y'all
end
are sick.
at the end of the day, Team USA has more talent. They should not be. I mean, some of these games should be competitive against some of these teams.
Yes.
South Sudan should not be anywhere
They play.
remotely
Don't
close.
they play them like in like a week or two?
Yeah, I think their second game is against
I
them.
bet you they beat them by 20 plus.
They better.
They will. Like
They
I'm telling
should-
you,
you shouldn't need LeBron heroics.
They just toying with
You
them.
shouldn't need LeBron heroics.
They just messing with
to
them,
beat
man.
South Sudan.
It might get boring. You go up 40. It's like
That ain't boring. Ask the Dream Team if that was
Yeah.
boring. Beating the hell out of everybody in the world.
They would have like let's see how far off we can get it. We can let them get it.
If
and then
they don't
come back
win
and
the gold this year with
Oh my
this
goodness
particular
gracious.
team,
then Joel Embiid left his country for no reason.
could you imagine the backlash that's going to come out of this?
If they don't win the gold, LeBron will bookend his Olympic career with 2 disasters. Because he started
Oh, I
it.
didn't even think of that.
He started it with the 04 disaster.
Yeah.
I always wanted to do an oral history on that. And I talked to a couple guys who were on the team, and they're like, no, why would we ever talk about that? So that was the end of that.
Yeah,
That was a disaster. 04 was a total disaster.
I guess in a way, if you want to spin zone it, it's a good thing they're getting these late game reps to see who they can and who they can't go for. But the one thing I do like about those settings in USA basketball, it establishes a clear hierarchy of who's the dude and who's not in those moments. There's one guy in Philadelphia who is nowhere to be found when the game matters most. And that is not an outlier compared to how the regular season and postseason goes.
He's a dog.
You don't like Embiid?
I've never been a fan of him.
You know,
He's so overrated.
but he's such a talented individual.
That's what makes it that frustrating.
Like he literally, there's
Never
nothing
been a
he
Embiid
can't
guy.
do.
Yeah, stay healthy.
Yeah.
Win a playoff series
Carry a
past the
team to a
first round.
championship.
I
So,
mean,
sorry, Steve Beckman.
what outside of the Joker, like how many centers could?
As physically gifted and skilled as he is, he should be able to. He's a dog.
So you saying he's the problem?
I'm not saying he's the problem, but he ain't the solution either.
He's performed significantly below his regular season output production efficiency
Well, he just
in the playoffs
he's
every
just
year.
tagging along for gold on this one.
Well,
How about LeBron at almost 40 years old doing
Yeah.
what he's doing? Yeah, it's incredible.
if I was a Lakers fan, I'd be pissed.
Why?
Because you need every ounce of energy to be saved and utilized during the upcoming season if you're going
You
to
should
try and compete in the West with the same roster you essentially had last year that wasn't anywhere near good enough.
The good thing with this is there's multiple days off between games for these guys. Like going forward, there's no more travel. They're
Yeah,
in
they're
one
there.
location. They're there, and you got 2, 3, 4, 5 days off between games. Maybe not 5,
think it's
but
3 or
multiple
4.
days. Multiple days between games, so we'll have plenty of time to recover. I still expect them to win gold. It'll be a disaster if they don't. But I'll tell you, man, some of these games, it's like, what is going on?
And
The other
should
countries
not-
is catching up.
but
Oh,
you know
they've
what the-
already
but
caught
you know
up.
what the worst part is, too? Not only do we have the players, this is the best coaching staff you could assemble.
Sure.
You got Steve Kerr. You got Spo. You got Ty Lue out there. Like, there's 3 better NBA head coaches in the world right now than those 3. Like, it's not only the creme de la creme of players in the NBA. You got the cream of the crop in the coaching world, too. And if those 2 can't come together to beat another country,
Yeah.
it's going to be a disaster.
Yeah.
You really think they might lose?
I would still bet on Team USA, but they certainly haven't looked good.
I think they just messing around. It's the exhibition, so it's
Then why are they trying so hard to come back at the end then?
to see if they can.
That was the Cavs of 2016, 15, 16. They would set their own house on fire
It's my
just to see if they could put it out.
That's the point. It makes it interesting. I fully expect when it counts and it matters that they go out there and just. Now, if they do this, you say this to when they start next week, next week.
26 is the opening ceremony.
So
Thursday's
that's
the opening ceremony.
Thursday.
And the first game's the 20.
Whenever that game is,
Hold on one second.
we talk about that game. Now, they doing this in that game. All right, then I'm gonna come over to y'all side. But right now,
I'll see you on the 29th.
they just making it interesting. I'm telling you, they making it interesting. The team is too good. Like
They do have talent.
Here, even if they're joking around, do you know how bad you have to play with that group of players to be down to South Sudan by double digits in the 4th? And they play Serbia on the 28th.
y'all, did they win?
Like-
Did they win the game or not?
I'm going to run through South Sudan's roster. You tell me if you ever heard of these guys. Men's basketball.
Nobody's gonna have heard of any of them.
I
roster.
might. You never know what I know.
A couple of these guys have played in the league. Wayne Gabriel.
No.
He's the biggest name on the roster. You're screwed if you don't know him. He played at Kentucky, played in the league for
You
a
never
few
know.
years.
He might know.
Keep going.
Carlik Jones.
No.
Never heard of him either. Mario Shayuk.
No.
No.
Cayman Malach. M-A-L-U-A-C-H.
If you can't say it, I don't know.
Nooni Omat.
Nope.
Peter Jock.
Yeah, I know Peter.
Shut up. No, you don't.
Majok Dang.
This ain't
Dang Akuth.
this ain't looking good.
Kane, Cock Bar, and Sunday Deck.
Never heard of any of them.
That's the roster that just pushed Team USA to the brink.
Yeah, they didn't push them to the brink. Like they
It's an
gave 'em-
exhibition.
It's false confidence is what they gave them.
We'll see, because they play them again, don't they? Or Germany.
Yeah.
South Sudan.
they
Second
playing
game,
them
right?
again.
It's in the bracket, yeah.
Second
Or in
game.
the group play. And they can lose
You
it.
can't show South Sudan what you're gonna be doing when it matters.
Tyvis, this would be like you guys scrimmaging Ball State in preseason. And
Yeah.
then and if it's close and you guys come back at the very end saying,
How many times that's happened? They struggled a little bit
I think
last
it's
year.
more like Oberlin College.
They struggled last year with
Does
YSU for a
Oberlin have a
little
football
bit.
team?
That's my point.
I was trying to think on NCAA. If you like play a close game against FCS East and come back at the end and then
It
just be like,
happens.
it shouldn't happen though.
It happens though at times.
Yeah, their group is Serbia, Puerto Rico, and South Sudan, which is like the ultimate draw. in
Which
human
one is the
history.
Joker on?
Serbia.
That's what I thought.
They open with Serbia. That's the first game. So you'll get Embiid Joker for the
L.
first time in forever.
What if they lose the first one? What if they lose the first one?
Well, it'll
They
help.
could.
It'll help.
If the Joker do it be like
Yes.
that,
Yeah, it would put an end to the
I
debate.
would look at him like Go play for your team. Go play for your country.
Go back to
man. Go back to your country.
Embiid did a sit-down interview with someone over there. Was it Varden who did the interview with Embiid? And asked about Philly cheesesteaks?
No, I don't think that'd be Joe. I didn't see that.
He would have told you if he did, I'm sure. So
I never talked to him. I don't know how they ever talked to Joe.
okay, yeah,
He's all over the world right now.
fair. Well, either way, he did a sit-down interview with somebody.
Yeah.
And they asked him what's his favorite Philly cheesesteak in Philly, and he said Subway. It was the ultimate troll move.
Oh my
Like,
gosh.
As much as I can't,
Traded.
I can't.
Oh my gosh.
I can't stand Embiid as a player, but I thought that was a hysterical answer. The ultimate troll move.
Oh my goodness.
It is also worth noting that LeBron's carrying the opening ceremony flag too.
Yes, he is, which
He's
is
the
really
first
cool.
Does he
men's
have
basketball player to do it.
Does Embiid have a PR manager?
I'm sure they all do.
Man, they need to prep him.
I mean, he said it in jest, but still, that was
Subway.
a on the record quote, and you can't tell in jest when you see it on a tweet.
Subway.
Eat fresh.
Troll Embiid, they call him.
I mean, he is a troll. He's a troll.
And what we got in overtime?
I think I have to formally apologize to Tyvis for taking his beloved O State program to 17th in NCAA 25.
17.
That's like losing to South Sudan.
Yeah, it is.
I sucked at that game, but it's fun, and I know the three of us have played it, so I thought we'd chat about that a little bit.
Whatever you want. We'll see you in overtime. Peace.